3 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Commissioners to order. First item is Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item number 3 is adoption of the agenda. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Chair Brown, if I could just say we'll do the roll call just before that.
Oh, very good. Go ahead and call the roll, Michael. I'm
you.
Don Brown, Commissioner, Macomb County, voting from Mount Clemens, Michigan.
Thank you. We have Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Kleinfeld voting remotely from East Point, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Romano.
Commissioner Romano, District 4, Sterling Heights, present and participating remotely in Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Kraft.
Commissioner Kraft attending remotely from Chesterfield Township, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Haw.
Harold Haw attending remotely, Roseville, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Wallace.
Commissioner Wallace attending remotely from Mount Clemens, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Van Sickle.
Commissioner Van Sickle attending remotely from Sterling Heights, Macomb County, Michigan.
Thank you. Commissioner Zinner.
Commissioner Zinner attending remotely from Harrison Township, Macomb County.
Commissioner Matuzak.
Commissioner Matuzak attending remotely from Clinton Township, Michigan, Macomb County.
Commissioner Farrington.
Jeff Farrington attending remotely from Utica, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Commissioner Sabatini attending remotely from Macomb Township, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Nard.
Commissioner Nard attending remotely from Warren, Michigan, Macomb County, Michigan.
And Commissioner Song. And Chair,
Commissioner Song attending remotely and voting from Warren, Michigan.
Perfect. And Chair Brown, that completes the roll.
Very good. Good to see everyone. Welcome, everyone. I need an item to adopt the agenda. Item number 3.
Romano,
Motion.
adopt the agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano. Can I have a second?
Matuzak supports.
Thank you, Commissioner Matuzak. Motion's been made and supported. Any discussion? Please vote.
And Commissioner Song, I think we're still working on getting you in the system. If you could just unmute and give us a verbal yes or no, I can record that and we can display that on the screen.
Commissioner Song, yes. Commissioner Song, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That motion passes 13-0.
Very good. Thank you. Item 4 is approval of the minutes dated January 7th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So move, Haw.
Moved by Commissioner Haw. Was there a second?
Support Romano.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano. Motion's been made and supported. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Very good. Thank you. Next item is public participation. Public participation, you have 5 minutes to speak on any item you wish that's on the agenda. If you want to speak on something that isn't on the agenda, you have to wait to the second public participation at the end of the meeting, where you'll have 5 minutes. As a disclaimer for those planning to speak, please be advised, according to Rule 21 adopted by the Board of Commissioners and their Board of Rules, personal attacks, coarse or derogatory language, and cursing will not be tolerated. Individuals using such language will be removed from the meetings. Additionally, all those who call in will be asked to speak first in an orderly fashion, and those who join virtually will ask to be typed their name in the Google chat box, and those will be called on as the order in which they were received. So having said that, is there anyone from the public that wishes to be heard on any item on the agenda? Is there anyone from the public who wishes to be heard under public participation? Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Staff, is there anyone online that wishes to speak?
Chair, we don't have anyone in the chat box.
Very good. Thank you very much. We'll close public participation. Item 6 is correspondence from the executive's office. This will be on our agenda on a regular basis. If we have correspondence, it'll be placed here for us to consider. There is no there is no correspondence from the executive. So we'll move to item number 7, which is appointments. We'll need motions to concur on these appointments as they come up. Item 7A is the appointment to the 42nd District 1 Magistrate. This is a department appointment with the concurrence of the board. Jeffrey Davis is the I believe he is here. Is he here, staff?
Yes, I believe he was attending, and go ahead.
I am present, Commissioner.
Well, hello, Jeff. Welcome. And anything you want to say before we make our decision?
I just appreciate the opportunity to have me present here. I've worked with the Honorable Jennifer Andery in the beginning of her career. I have handled numerous civil cases, criminal cases, family law cases. I think it would be a major asset to the district court. I think I work well with Judge Andery, and I'm ready to answer any questions you have. My wife is an attorney. She handles cases, prosecutions, represents municipalities. That's about it.
Very good. I don't have any speakers. Can I give a motion to approve?
Chair, I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Jeffrey R. Davis to the 41st 1 District Court Magistrate with board concurrence.
Is there a second?
Romano. Okay.
Support Van Sickle.
All right, very good. Is there any other discussion on this? Saying none, please vote.
Commissioner Sabatini, I had a quick issue on registering your vote. Could you just unmute and let me know yes, no, or abstain?
Yes, for Sabatini. Nothing has come up on my screen.
Okay, a member of the staff will reach out. That motion passes 13-0.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeffrey. Item 7B is a jury commission at the Circuit Court Bench recommendation. They appoint retired Judge Peter Massaronia to this slot. Need a motion to approve.
So move, Haw.
Support Sabatini.
Is there anyone that wishes to speak on this? Seeing none, I need a motion or please vote.
And just while we're working it out with staff, Commissioner Sabatini, could you just unmute and let us know yes or no?
Commissioner Sabatini, yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. That motion passes 13-0.
Very good. The next item is 7C, the Macomb County Zoological Authority. This is an executive appointment with the board concurrence. It's a one-year vacancy. He's put forward the name of Stacy Zarko. believe Stacy's attending. Can I get a motion on the floor to approve?
Chair Brown,
Yes.
Romano will approve Stacy Zarco with the board concurrence.
Commissioner Farrington, support.
Very good. Thank you. Mrs. Zarco, would you, I believe you're attending. Is there anything you'd like to say?
I appreciate the opportunity. I'm a lifelong resident of Sterling Heights in Macomb County, a big fan of the zoo, and look forward to bringing the zoo into Macomb County and participating with this group. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Do any commissioners have anything that they want to say or any questions they want to ask? Seeing none, we'll...
Chair Brown, if I may.
Please go ahead.
Just a quick note. I've known Ms. Zarco for a long, long time. If people are unaware, her mother is also on the Sterling Heights City Council, has been on City Council with me for many a year. Stacy has grown up in the political arena. I think she'll be a tremendous asset to the Zoological Society, and I was proud to make the motion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Seeing no one else wanted to comment, please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Very good. Congratulations, Mrs. Zarco. I look forward to your representation on the board and look forward to seeing you back at the board from time to time. Say hello to those penguins for us down here. That penguin exhibit's quite something. I haven't been down there yet, so.
You got it.
All right, very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
7D is appointment to the Brownfield Development Authority. Again, this is an executive appointment with the board concurrence. And they're putting forward the name of Paul J. Boydia. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion by Sabatini.
Support. Thank you. Mr. Boya, would you have he's present, I believe. Is there any wish to say?
Sure. And not to correct you, but it's Bodia.
Thank you for correcting me. I need to pronounce it properly. Bodia. Very good.
Thank you. So I welcome the opportunity to serve on this Brownfield board. I've been a resident of Macomb County over 30 years, worked for the Macomb ISD 30 plus years, and have had numerous opportunities to, I'll just say, address the Brownfield type legislation. I've attended many of your meetings and certainly have been supportive of the county's initiative to collaborate on behalf of all its communities in the county to lead the efforts to provide this needed service. So thank you.
Thank you. The county recently received our annual allocation of about $300,000 from a US EPA for brownfield redevelopment. That money, there's a lot of places where that money can be put to use throughout our county. Have you been involved in any projects recently that involve the brownfield reclamation?
So I have not specifically been involved, but I've attended numerous meetings that you've held. Particularly, I can recall the one that we spent a great deal of time on, which was the 23-mile Shelby property, which was remediated to allow for Amazon to build their facility there. And a number of questions have arisen over the years relative to, what's the benefits of these brownfields, and certainly we have supported here at the ISD efforts to remediate property that then can be used in either business or other type settings, as opposed to letting it sit idle and just generate nothing for the county or the community that it's in.
Very good. Yes, that facility, the Amazon facility in Shelby Township, is a classic example of brownfield redevelopment. Old industrial property, heavily contaminated, was restored to great use, and now it's an economic engine of a major size in our county. So it's all good. Is there any other commissioners wish to speak? Seeing none, please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul, for coming out. We appreciate it. Look forward to your continued service to us on this board and your work at the college.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7E is Southeast Michigan Council of Government, SEMCOG appointments. There'll be a series of these. This is an executive appointment with board concurrence for Tammy Payton. I need a motion to approve this one.
Nard, motion to approve.
All right.
Van Sickle, support.
Okay. Is Tammy here at the meeting? I believe she was. Ms. Payton, are you available? Okay, think. I need a motion. A motion's been made and supported. Please vote.
Mr. Chair, I had a question before we vote. This is Commissioner Kraft.
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm looking at all the SEMCOG appointments with board concurrence, and I know in the past, and I've only been here for 4 years, it's normally been 4 commissioners, and then I think we get 4 other slots as well. And I see JP smiling face on our meeting today, and I know he's one of the appointments. And I'm just wondering, where does Tammy work for the county? Is she, because JP would most likely be an appointment from the executive, but it looks like one of our slots seems like it's going to the executive's office. I'm just wondering what that makeup is, what it looks like. Is this just something we did in the past, but it's, up to the executive and then we just concur? I guess I'm just kind of questioning the makeup and what it is, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
Thank you.
Tammy's an alternate for the executive's office, and she's been appointed to serve as an alternate for Mark Hackle. We're allowing that that's their right and their option, and we're agreeing with Tammy Payton's been an active member of the community, and so we're offering that. They're offering that name, and I've agreed with it, and so
That's
JP,
fine. I was just curious as to, like I said, do the commissioners have a certain amount? Is it just Macomb County in general has a certain amount? JP's nodding his head, so that's got to
a
be
friendly
the-
understanding. We share those with the executive's office, and it's been historically been a shared arrangement. Traditionally, it's always been commissioners, but this year they had a person they wanted to appoint, and I saw no reason to object.
That's fine.
Going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, JP, for nodding your head.
That's good. Commissioner Matuzak.
Yeah, I'm a totally new person as opposed to Mr. Kraft. So how many seats do we have on the SEMCOG board representing Macomb County?
There's 4 positions, 2 delegates and 2 alternate spots.
2 delegates and 2 alternates, and we appoint them all at the same time? There's no overlap?
No, we appoint them at this meeting, first meeting of the year.
And they serve the same term?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Matuzak. Seeing no other speakers,
Just real quick, I'm sorry, Chair.
Hey, go ahead, Commissioner.
Is there really 6, but Hackle's a permanent? Because we have 5 on here. We don't have 4.
Yeah.
So there's really 6, I think. 1's a permanent, and Tammy will be it's also indefinite. So it adds up to 6, I think. Thank you.
That's right, but 4 has traditionally been the commissioner's rules, 4 slots for commissioners. You're right, Commissioner.
But 6 total?
Yes.
Chair.
Okay.
Chair, this is Patty. I wondered if you would mind if I interjected here. There are actually 8 spots on the SEMCOG. Macomb County government, it's as an entity, has 8 spots. Traditionally, 2 delegates from the commissioner's office with 2 alternates, meaning 4, and 2 delegates from the other elected officials that make up Macomb County government with 2 alternates. So there's an additional 4, so a total of 8. So there are 4 total delegates to SEMCOG. There are 4 total alternates to SEMCOG. So at this time, we have Executive Hackle serving as a delegate, Sheriff Wickersham as a delegate, and our 2 commissioner openings were vacant because Commissioner Carabelli and Commissioner Leonetti are no longer in office. In addition, we had a few openings for the alternates for the same reason, because there were people who went out of office. So as an entity, there are 4 delegates and 4 alternates. Traditionally, there are 2 commissioner delegates and 2 commissioner alternates.
Okay.
Thank you, Patty.
Mhm.
Any other comments? Seeing none, please vote. On Tammy Payton.
Chair, I believe Commissioner Barb Zinner has her hands up.
Commissioner?
Thank you. I tried to get that to go up, and I think it was missed. I'm glad that Phil brought that up. There must be a reason that there's commissioners and executive people on this board in the past. And I mean, I'm new also, but is there a reason that there's commissioners and executive board on this committee, on the SEMCOG? So I would like to have other people make a comment, pro or con on that.
What exactly are you asking then?
Well, what I'm asking is, do we think that the explanation from Patty is there should be commissioners on this board?
Well, yeah. We've had traditionally been a split arrangement, and county commissioners definitely need to be there, just as the executive office has representatives down on representing their part of the government. So, that's the way we've done it. And we want to make sure we have a voice down there, make sure our commissioners are down there, and that's where we're appointing them.
So, are there going to be commissioners on there at this time? And my understanding is there's not. Am I missing something here?
No, there will be.
All right.
Yep. These appointments today we'll have commissioners appointed there as we go through the rest of the agenda.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay.
Chair
Yeah,
Brown, if you hit
yes.
the blue details button, you should see there's actually a list of speakers.
Oh, yeah, okay. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you. Commissioner Zinner, what Patty was saying is the ones that are commissioner appointments, the alternate was usually a commissioner as well. So we always had 2 representatives there. So that is changing. These are executive appointments. So whether we're happy about whether or not it's changing, it is a departure, but we cannot force the executive to put forth 2 commissioners for each one of those slots. So there is a departure from what we had before.
Thank you, Commissioner Kleinfeld. Commissioner Parrington.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I want to comment on the same thing. I know it's not on this position. It's on the alternate to Michelle Nard, Commissioner Nards, but we still haven't gotten an explanation why the county executive has asked for an additional alternate, nor why our chair has agreed to that. And to kind of bounce off from Commissioner Kleinfeld's comment, we actually can stop it because we have to concur. So it's not on this vote, but I don't understand why we're relinquishing the extra alternative, and I haven't heard an answer yet. So thank you.
These are appointments by the executive. The executive could put forward another name that he wants, and we could reject Mrs. Payton, and he'll put forward another name, but he's got the ability to make that appointment who he wants. And so eventually I didn't see any reason to challenge him on it. As Commissioner Kleinfeld said, these are executive appointments, and we've had a relationship with the executive's office to appoint commissioners on half of those slots, and the executive appoints the other half of the names, the other half. But technically, he doesn't have to do that. He could, appoint other people to the board and exclude the commissioners if he wished. So in a spirit of cooperation, though, we've had this arrangement for the past, since the charter's been started, basically. And that's how we've been operating. But technically, we could reject, and he could submit another name to us, and we could do that. But
with Mr. Chair, with all due respect, in the item of cooperation, that goes both ways, not one way. So
yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, this Commissioner Matuzik. It seems to me the issue is not with this NARD appointment. He's appointing someone. The executive is appointing someone, or not the NARD, the Patton. He's appointing someone to be his own alternative. I don't care about that one, but the one coming up 2 from now is he's taking a slot away from us, and that's of concern to me.
Okay. Well, he's got the right, it's within his rights in the charter to do so, and so that's also the fact. So, all right. Any other discussion on this item? Please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Okay, very good. Next item is item 7F, appointment of Michelle Nard, the SEMCOG. We need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Support from Kraft if Harold wants to make the
Moved by
motion.
Commissioner Hawes, supported by Commissioner Kraft. Is there discussion on this item?
Thank you, CB.
I don't see any other discussion. Please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Okay, next item, item 7G, to appoint John Paul Rhea as an alternate for Michelle Nard on SEMCOG. Need a motion?
Motion by Romano for John Paul Rhea for an alternate for Michelle Nard.
Okay.
Support Hall.
Support by Commissioner Hall. Discussion on this item. Don't see any up. Please vote.
That motion passes 8-5 with Commissioners Kraft, Song, Van Sickle, Matuzak, and Farrington voting no.
Very good. Thank you. Item 7H, appointment of Jeff Farrington as delegate to SEMCOG. Need a motion to approve?
Motion Hall.
Support?
Support Matuzik.
Very good. Motion made. Any discussion on this item? Don't see any. Please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Very good. Thank you. Item 7I, appointment of Don Van Single as alternate for Jeff Farrington to SEMCOG. Need a motion on this?
So moved, Kleinfeld.
Support Farrington.
Very good. Moved by Kleinfeld, support by Farrington. Any discussion on this appointment? Seeing none, please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Very good. Item 7J, Retiree Healthcare Board. These are appointments by the chair. Concurrence with the board, 2 vacancies. I need a motion to approve those 2 names.
Romano approves Harold Hall and Joe Sabatini as the board chair appointment for the Retiree Healthcare Board.
Support for
Very good. It's moved and supported. Is there any discussion on this?
Yes, Commissioner, I have my name in there.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Commissioner Kleinfeld, okay.
Commissioner Sabatini, I really like you. Don't take this personally. I'm going to be voting no, but it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the fact that I didn't even get a courtesy call that I was being removed from this board and replaced. I had to read it in the agenda. And this has kind of been this discussion about we're a team, we're a team, we're a team. I've not been feeling like I'm part of that team, and this is my protest vote because I don't think this is how a team works. But I have no problem with you being on there. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kleinfeld. Any other discussion? Please vote.
This is Commissioner Van Sickle. Mike, I didn't get a vote.
Thank you for letting me know, Commissioner. Can you vote over the device here, and we will work with you to fix that for the next one?
I vote yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 11-2 with Commissioners Kleinfeld and Song voting no.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Item 7K, Commission Retirement Commission Chair appointment, appointing Harold Haw to that commission. Need a motion?
Motion by Romano to appoint Harold Hall to the the Retirement Commission. And if I may, if Mr. Hall, I know is present, maybe you can give a few words on what's going on with that commission. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Hall, you were called out. You would say.
Thank you, Chair. As of our last meeting, if you'll recall, Joe, at the end of the year, I reported that our return for the 3 boards was 7.9%. And during a pandemic, we rated within the 95th percentile of profitability for the board. The reason that I had requested to continue to be on all 3 boards of the chairman is it provides transparency, continuity from one board to the other, and it's the first time since we've had these boards that one board member has been on all 3 boards to discuss any transitional or policy issues from one to the other. It worked out well. I chair that board. I'm vice chair of the intermediate board and sitting on the retiree healthcare board with Chairman Delden. Work very closely with our chairman, and my commitment is on a regular basis, as it has not been done previously, is to come in and report to the board exactly the status of the retirement system as a whole. We are currently at one point in January, we were under 900,000. By the end of the year, we were at 1.56 billion. So it's quite a large amount of money that we're dealing with. I had previously chaired 3 other retirement boards. So when the money managers come in and make their presentation, either 1, I know them, or 2, I know their performance from the past. So if you need any further explanation on that, I'd be happy to give it. Thank you.
Commissioner Hall, it's comforting to know that we have a hawk watching not only the retirees' money, but for the board portion of it, the board members can feel comfortable knowing that there's a board member there and looking out for the retirees. So thank you very much for your service on all three boards. We certainly do appreciate it. That's all I have, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Mr. Romano. I don't see any other speakers. Please vote.
Commissioner Van Sickle, I think we're still having an issue. If you wouldn't mind just unmuting and giving us a verbal vote.
Yes, we are. I followed Patty's directions. It didn't fix it. I vote yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item 7M. Appointment of Julie Matuzak to the Area on Agency Board.
I did we do?
There you got 7.
Did I miss I?
L.
L, 7L. Yep.
Okay.
Motion,
Can I have a motion on that?
Move
motion by Romano. Support Romano.
Thank you. Moved and supported. Any discussion on that one? Seeing none, please vote. Thank you.
And then I see Commissioner Van Sickle shaking his head yes to indicate a yes vote. That motion passes 13-0.
Very good. Thank you. Item 7M. AAA Area on Agency Board appointed Commissioner Matuzak. Need a motion to that appointment?
Motion by Sabatini.
Seconded by Haw.
Very good. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote.
And that motion passes 13-0.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for all the commissioners for the appointments and willingness to serve all of our appointees. Starting a new term, we have a lot of new ideas, new eyes and ears on these various boards and commissions, and look forward to hearing reports back from our appointees on what's going on and keeping us all in the loop. So thank you for doing that. Item 8 is presentations, an update on COVID-19 emergency plan. We have Vicki Wolber here from the Deputy County Executive to give us an update. Can I have a motion to receive and file this before she gives her report?
Motion, Haw.
Second, Zinner.
Very good. Vicki, Mrs. Wolber, if you're available, give a report.
Sure. Thank you, Chair Brown. Good afternoon, commissioners. Nice to see you in the new year. As we did last year, we're going to continue our monthly presentation to the board on what our activities have been with our response to COVID. And looking where we're at, we're basically 44 weeks in to this pandemic. And really in 2021, we're continuing as we did in 2020. Working just as hard, having multiple projects, multiple activities, continuing into the new year, and we expect that to go on through the entire year. Just to give you some highlights pulled from the report that is in your board packet. In regards to community action, they continue to be very busy. Supporting those most in need and those most vulnerable within the community, doing a great job there. This is continuing to work with. A big area for us has been our personal protective supplies for those in the community. That's our first responders, hospitals, long-term care facilities. Making sure that they have what they need to do their job on a daily basis. We have handed out approximately 2 million items since we started this program. We have secured a stockpile of personal protective equipment through 2021, and there is a more detailed spreadsheet included in the packet on exactly what those items are. When you're looking at that, it's gowns, gloves, masks, things of that nature. I'm going to move on to our finance department and our finance report. Included in your packet is our One Solution report through the end of the year. In that report, you can see our current revenues are almost 175 million. That represents over a dozen different funding sources that we received in regards to COVID in 2020. Our largest program within that money was the 152 million that's part of the CARES Act. Current expenditures as of that time frame, 113 million out the door, and then just over 3 million has been encumbered. When we look in particular with the CARES Act, that funding was set to expire at the end of the year. It was extended in December, so we now have that funding available through the end of this year. To date, out of the 152 million, we have 104 million actually spent. So that has money been paid out. We have approximately another 39 million that is currently being spent. That's either waiting on reimbursements from maybe the municipalities or other organizations, or we have purchase orders that are in process, invoices that need to be paid. And then we do have a few projects that are outstanding. So we were glad to have the extension, helped gain us some time for those projects that we knew weren't going to be able to be completed by the end of the year. And most of those were related to IT projects and delivery issues that everyone was experiencing. Some of those areas where we're still waiting for the payments, business relief, we have public safety payroll that we need to transfer over. Testing and vaccination, that is one project area that will carry over into this new year. So we are planning to continue to see expenditures in that category. The Municipal Relief Fund, we have approximately 10 million in reimbursements that are pending from all the local jurisdictions, received a portion of the CARES Act funding from us. So we're waiting for those to come in. Martha T. Berry has just over 1 million to send to us for reimbursement. We allocated funds to the school districts within the county. That was all passed through the intermediate school district. So that's just under 6 million that we're waiting for them to submit reimbursements for. And then at the end of the day, as I'm sure you can all imagine, you're managing projects, you set budgets, and then you have some things that go over a little bit, some things that come under. So right now we do have an unallocated amount, if you will, of approximately 8.4 million. Now that we've ascertained what that amount is, kind of with the year-end budgets closing in December, we will now come up with a plan on how we're going to go about spending that money into 2021. And again, majority of it, probably in our minds, will continue to go for testing and vaccination, and serving the health department and the community in that area. But we'll look at what other expenditures we have for the coming year. And that'll be part of our presentation in our February packet. In reviewing items to the board this month, earlier this month at your first meeting, you approved the item for the wall tents for over at our vaccination site. So thank you very much. That was done. And then later on the agenda, you have an item to ratify and was bypassed using the board's process due to timing. We sought the bypass approval process to get a contract signed with Presidio to provide call services for our appointments for vaccinations. So in order to get that up and running very quickly and really get implemented for next week, we asked for the bypass. That was approved through the board and signed off. But I know Jacob will be presenting on that a little later. Health Department. obviously continues to be busy. In regards to our actual cases, like the rest of the state, there has been a decline in our actual positive cases in the county, which is very good. If you looked at where we were at for the entire month of December, we were at 14,500 positive cases and a 13.6% positivity rate. For the month of January, we're already at the 21st. We have basically 4,300 cases only, and our positivity rate is down to 8.9%. So that's a good trend. Obviously, provisions that have been put in place, people social distancing, wearing the masks, doing all of that seems to be working. And obviously, we all hope that continues. But we keep sending the message too of don't let your guard down, especially now with the vaccinations that are coming into play. Of the cases in December, for the month of December, that the health department, they had 8,549 actual positive cases with case investigations that they processed just in that limited time. They had just over 21,000 other individuals that they had to contact that were identified as close contacts that they had to trace as well and go through that process. So very, very time-consuming tasks. And again, a lot of work when you consider that's just within a month's time. Testing site is up and running, of course, at the Baker College site. It's still going well out there. There are less people coming out to be tested. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, but we will continue to provide the testing. We'll continue to push for testing and advertise that people still come out and take advantage of that. We continue to do our testing in congregate care facilities. We have a partnership with MedStar to send teams out into those facilities as they request it. So that is still going well, no changes there. We have a partnership with Wayne State University to do community test sites. That continues to be ongoing. Again, we have plans to continue that through the year. So still a lot going on in that arena. We know it's overshadowed by the vaccination that are going on now, but it's still important to keep that in mind, that process is there. It's still a great tool, and that we still encourage people to be able to use our site and other opportunities for that. Our vaccination, I'm going to spend quite a bit of time here because I think that's where a lot of questions may be. Our mass vaccination clinic opened on December 18th. We have done just over 8,100 vaccinations to date. When we first started our vaccinations, we were utilizing priority phase 1A. The priorities were created by the CDC and the feds, and then the states in conjunction with that through their health departments adopted the same priorities. They have, though, pushed them out a little differently, as I think you've seen in the past month with some of the controversy and questions that came up. But again, initially in December, 1A included those in the healthcare industry, EMS, and staff and residents in the congregate care or long-term care facilities. Our major role at that time within the health department was EMS. So we had an aggressive program with our EMS providers in the county to get them vaccinated. Healthcare initially was being taken care of through the hospital systems. And then congregate care, there are two pharmacies at this point in time, CVS and Walgreens, that agreed to be the major provider for congregate care. So all of those types of facilities were offered an opportunity to sign up with those pharmacies to start that process. In early January, Governor instituted moving us into phase 1B, and we were not done with phase 1A. In Macomb County, when we took a look at the number of people that were in phase 1A, for us, it was probably an estimate of 50 to 60,000 that we were trying to get through with limited resources, limited vaccine. And then they opened it up to phase 1B and groups A and B. Initially in group A, it's listed as 75 and older. Governor changed that and went to 65 and older in that group. That also includes all of your school staff, other first responders, essential frontline workers, municipal workers, correction workers, those working in homeless shelters, childcare situations, and also adult and child protective services. Estimates now within that group, within the county, we're looking at approximately 250,000 or more. So when you combine those two groups, we're well over 300,000 people that are at least eligible for a vaccine. The vaccines in the state since the beginning on a weekly basis have been roughly 60,000 for the entire state. So very low number that they have to distribute across the state. So that has been our biggest issue, is the low amount of doses available even in the state, countered with opening it up to a larger group of people to make eligible to vaccinate. So within that 60,000 doses, they still have to split those doses between the health departments in the state and the hospital systems. Those are generally the Pfizer doses within that 60,000. Moderna doses were coming in, and initially those were segregated for the congregate care pieces and the pharmacies. So we've all been splitting those 60,000 doses for probably 3-4 weeks. We are seeing roughly 1,000 doses coming in for first doses. Then we started to receive 1,000 doses as well for our second doses, because we have to track that. Then the past couple of weeks, we've seen a slight increase. 2 weeks ago, we received 3,900 for first round doses, 1,000 for second doses. This past week, we received 4,600 first doses, and again, 1,000 for second doses. At this point in time, we were told at least that 60,000 amount statewide was going to stay at least through the month of January, if not longer. So we are managing with the doses that we have. Our operating site at the VERC is going great. Staff is doing wonderful. We have enough staff, we have enough supplies, we have the setup working very well there. Yes, just yesterday we did over 1,000 vaccinations in one day. And technically at that site, we could do anywhere between 3,000 and 4,000 a day. So we do have capacity built in within our site at Verkulen when we do need to expand. Our appointment system that we're utilizing now, we have a phone system as well as an online system that we launched in the past couple weeks. So we do take phone calls, we do take the online appointments for those eligible groups. Those lines are busy. You've probably heard us say it, see it written. Our systems are working. Our systems are not broke. There are just so many calls coming in. Just this past Tuesday with our call system, I believe we had over 100,000 calls in the first 10 minutes. The week prior, we had about that amount in the first 30 minutes. So you can imagine that many people calling all at once, that many people trying to hit our online scheduler at that same time. It's going to busy out. There's different messages that people get, but that is all planned as part of the system. So I just want to let you know it is not broke. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just capacity. And when you look at 100,000, even if you look, the 300,000 that are eligible, we have 100,000 or so each week that are actually calling to try to get an appointment or going online. We've talked about, how many call takers we have. You'd have to expand greatly to think that you could try to answer all of those calls. And yet, even this past week, we only had 4,600 appointments. So there are improvements we can make to the system. We're looking at that. Obviously, the call system that I referenced earlier that's on the agenda for today, that's one of the systems that we're going to that helps with our county phones that in other departments that become overloaded on Tuesdays right now. There's some other key features that call system will allow us to do as well. We're hoping to get that implemented for this coming Tuesday. There's also some changes that we can make and improvements on our online scheduling system, and we are working on that, and we have the phased plan approach. to launch those out. When we take a look at where we're going with our vaccination plans and for expansion, we know there's certain areas that we need to cover. We are making plans for homebound individuals. We realize that there are people that no matter what model we come to just can't get to us. So we do have plans in place for homebound individuals that we're working on. We do have a number of congregate care sites that did not sign up with the pharmacies. So those fall into our realm. So we are looking at ways to get out to those sites with some different mobile teams for that process. We're also looking at drive-throughs and other community sites that can be utilized. We've been in touch with all of your jurisdictions. They've been great. They're willing to partner with us. Some of our plans include using local EMS personnel to go out into the communities and some of these sites. Obviously, we're looking at community sites. So I really want to thank everybody for their support within that realm. So those will be forthcoming. Again, we look at those. Homebound may happen first. We know we have homebound individuals now. Some of those won't come into play until we have more doses. Right now, because of the capacity of the 3,000 to 4,000 that we can handle at the Burke site, there's not a huge need for us to expand to other sites at this point in time. I wanted to touch base too on the second doses with the vaccinations. There has been some concerns, a lot of questions about that on how we're running our appointment system. So one, right now, we're continuing to get the second doses from the state. There is a concern whether that may change into in the future, depending on the doses that get released at the federal level, and if they're released for first dose or second dose, that's how they come to us. And then the state has them, they prioritize them. Each week we submit our requests for first doses and second doses and hope that they give us something. So there's no guarantee on the second doses. We are monitoring that. We are part of the conversation with the state, and they know as well how important those second doses are, but there is no guarantee on that. People getting their second doses, yes, they can call the appointment line, and if they're able to get through, we know that's a challenge. They can make their second dose appointment through that system. We know that's only open 3 hours a day. Last week, we instituted a program on site at the vaccination site. So anyone coming in for their first dose, there are people when they leave who can make their second dose appointment right there for them. So they have to stay there for 15 minutes and be observed. So that's where the people are that they can register with. If for some reason someone is not able to do that, we do have staff from the health department that are actively calling people. So obviously everyone is registered, they're tracked, the health department knows who is due for their second dose and when, and anyone that is not signed up already for their second dose, they do call them. That does take time to get through, but they are paying attention to the group that is due in the coming week. So those are systems in place. That is one of the changes we want to make with our online scheduling system. Right now, you cannot make second dose appointments, but we are going to be making that change soon to be able to do that, and some other changes down the road. But that is where we sit with the second doses. When we look at other items from this past month, moving on to human resources, they really did a lot of the work on the contract agencies that we have. When we look at the vaccination site right now, we are estimating that we need at least 300 different people to work at that vaccination site. If we are up fully running and operational, basically one shift is 120 people. So we need enough people to have diverse shifts, cater to maybe their schedules. So they've done a lot of work on that. We're also looking at a vendor too to maybe help us with some of our mobile activities going out into the community. Done hiring in the health department for case investigators, contact tracers. So needed more assistance in that arena with that. So we're very thankful for HR's work there. IT department, again, very busy, had to do a lot of systems in the past year. They've been instrumental in getting the IT front desk, which is the online scheduling system, up and running with the health department. They made updates to our internal COVID self-assessment and exposure forms that we need employees and visitors to use when they're coming here to the county. They had a big push for VPN and remote access and switching people over to the Barracuda security system. So they got over 700 employees up and running on that over the last month. And with the CARES dollars we allocated to IT, they actually had 61 individual projects. They've been able to close 46 of those out and are working on the remaining 15, which hopefully will be closed soon within the coming weeks. Our Joint Information Center continues to be busy. Our renovation of the area for our media center, or JIC, at the Department of Roads Comtech is moving along nicely. That's still on schedule to be completed by the end of February. So that's great to see. With the JIC and other people, we produce a weekly newsletter that we get out. During the time frame in the last month, they added 4,000 subscribers, and even just in the past week, we added another 4,000. So it's a very popular publication. The open rate is higher than some other documents that we send out. So we're very pleased with that process. They handled 59 inquiries from the media. So again, everyone's very interested in that. And then we're also processing just under 400 emails into our COVID internal email systems. Again, a lot of communication, a lot of information going out. Planning and economic development. They had a large portion of our grant funds as well for the businesses that they managed great in 2020. They're continuing that process. They have different programs, different communication channels in place. They have a portal that they established. All of that is being maintained. They gained great synergy within the projects that they launched last year. So that is continuing. I think you may all be aware another grant did come out from the MEDC, a survival grant for businesses. Our county was allocated $4.1 million. Grant opened on, opened on the 19th, closes on January 22nd. And as of this morning, we already had over 1,300 applications from businesses in the county. So there is still a need to support our businesses. Also with planning and a project with planning and emergency management, we are continuing our back to business kits. We've given out over 4,100 kits through that program in the past year, and we still have those kits available. And again, those are businesses that still need the PPE. If they need masks, they need shields, they need gloves to help keep their businesses operational and keep some of their costs down. That program is available. Continue to work with the intermediate school district and the local schools on their plans and their programs. We all heard that the governor is encouraging them, wanting them to open up March 1st. So we're in partnership with them to help any way we can so that can happen, that they can have face-to-face programs within there. We do continue to have partnerships with the hospitals and long-term care facilities. Obviously, a lot of our vaccination planning, we want to coordinate with the hospitals to see where they're at and where everyone is at with their limited supply. How many people are they seeing getting vaccinated? Do they have vaccinators? Things of that nature. Moving down just to our current and long-term initiatives areas. Just want to spend some time talking about pending grants. Again, going to be a very busy year, more money coming from the feds and through the state. So we have the one MEDC business grant that was that we're working on. I believe there's another 3 or 4 programs that are set to come through us as well that are pending. We have a housing and rental assistance grant that is pending from the Department of Treasury that we know is coming. And then we've also heard that there's funding coming to us for the continuation of testing and vaccination. So again, a lot of money, a lot of coordination of these grants and programs to help us out. And with that, I will conclude my report, and I would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Vicki. The comprehensive operation you have going on, and thank you for the detailed update. We have commissioners online to speak. Commissioner Haw.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Vicki, once again, phenomenal job by your staff trying to deal with a global pandemic that's been documented well enough. We don't need to get into that. So congratulations to you guys. The 2 elephants in the room are obviously the lack of the vaccinations to be distributed. When that got opened up, you already talked about the increased numbers that were now eligible in Group 1B. Totally understand. Secondly, it's the contact system. I have been trying now for 2.5 weeks, starting at 8 a.m., and I'm not only on that system, which now my wife and I alternate so that we just continuously call, and the system will hang up on you and not even answer the phone call. Secondly, I'm on the Ascension Health System and the Beaumont Health System. Both of them simultaneously crash on the first and second day equally as our system did. The problem we have is our constituents are saying, fix it. They don't really care that Verizon is saying the system was overloaded. 100,000 calls came in a short period of time. They are looking for somebody to respond. And what I'm hearing is we're trying to deal with the issue, but like myself, trying to call for 2.5 weeks, and I know this is a very lengthy question, and having the other end of the phone hang up on me, we actually have a person who is calling, getting hung up on, and redialing, and did it for 1 hour and 10 minutes and never got through. Verizon's a global company. Our system is, and we've talked about it, is one of the most sophisticated in the state, yet me as a constituent or an elected official have to answer the question, why can't I get through? So I'm pleading with you, whatever upgrades we can make. There was a suggestion that when a person calls, their name goes on a list somehow and they get a return call. But people need to understand, not only one, it's not you're creating the problem or the county creating the problem. These were mandates that came down from the state. We did not create the pandemic or the issue of adding close to 300,000 people to an issue that we hadn't even dealt and completed phase 1 yet. So I'm sure all of us have seen our county executive's videos explaining his frustration with it. I know you're frustrated with it. I know we are all frustrated with it. But the person on the other end who's saying, I need this, this is my life at risk, to say our system's overloaded and we can't get through just sounds like an excuse. And I know it's factual. I used to work with the IT department at GM. These kind of things happen. But there are some very intelligent people in this world that deal with communication problems. How do we fix it? So I know that was a very lengthy question. And again, I know the work you guys have done and continue to do, and I greatly appreciate it. But we have to have an answer to a problem that we didn't create. So I'm looking at you. Thanks, Vicki.
Thanks, Harold. Understood, duly noted. We have those same calls. We answer those same questions. We get the same emails, and it is extremely frustrating. And I know it's not what people want to hear. You know, we're looking at it. I don't know that there's any system that could handle 100,000 people and take those calls and actually answer them. But I can tell you, we are, you know, looking at improving it. And again, it's not a place we wanted to be. We had different plans to roll it out to different groups and not have these issues created, or at least not obviously to this magnitude, where it almost seems impossible to manage. But you know, it's all hands on deck, as it has been from the beginning, and we'll continue to do that.
Well, we're counting on you, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Ha. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. I'm a little frustrated that they did the 65 and up, because I think the people the least likely to be able to get through are the seniors that are in their 80s and up, to be honest. They're not going to be on the computer. They're going to get frustrated, and they're the ones that are the most fearful and have the most on the line, quite frankly. I've been waiting for my parents to get vaccinations so that I could go visit them, because my mother broke her arm and her hip, and I haven't been able to see her. So I just found out they're in Montana. I just found out they got the vaccination yesterday, and I have booked my tickets. But that is frustration. I don't know why that decision was made when we all knew that there was not enough vaccines there anyway to begin with. I know other people are going to get back to that. I don't know if Steve's still on. This might be a Steve question rather than a Vicky question. I know that when we saved money by with the the salaries within the sheriff's department that we set aside for capital improvements. We also did the media center, the cost of which I'm concerned about. Now I'm starting to get a little uncomfortable or concerned. The courts are going to open up. I absolutely expect the courts are going to be asking for something. The prosecutor's office is going to say, hey, the courts have opened up. I need this. I saw in the newspaper that the clerk's office, that they created a new position and they used money from a vacant position that they intend to fill. And they're going to say that they need more. And I don't know where we are financially with all that. And my second concern about that is, if we hire a bunch of people to get through this short period of time and they stay employed, when the money's gone, we're going to be in big trouble. So Steve, what are you looking at? I see you, Steve. What are you looking at for forecasts in those departments that have been closed down and are building up a backlog that are going to open up very shortly?
Well, hold, Commissioner, is this related to COVID? How does this relate to the COVID?
Because they're shut down because of COVID. And when they open up, it's going to be because of COVID that there's a backlog and they need more money. It's all COVID related, Chair Brown.
Well, it is, but this is dealing with the.
Are you questioning my question, Chair?
Yes.
It is directly related to COVID. The courts are shut down because of COVID. What do you think is going to happen while we're spending all this money when they open back up? Oh, the money's gone. We spent it, but we needed it to open back up. Is there anybody else that thinks this isn't COVID related?
Well,
Chair, don't make that mistake, because I will make your life miserable if I can't have my answer. Don't make that mistake. This is COVID related, and Steve is ready to answer the question.
Go ahead, Steve.
So, Commissioner Kleinfeld, I think relative to the courts, I have not been made aware of any sort of personnel or increased personnel request. They, across all courts, of course, left some positions vacant and met their budget goals for 2021. So if they open, I would expect that they would open with existing staff that are funded in the budget for 2021. As it relates to the Register of Deeds, that position is being funded with vacancy money, so positions have been eliminated. And relative to the prosecutor's office, we'll have to kind of wait and see what the prosecutor may or may not request. And, we were very consistent across all departments in the 2021 budget, as you know, of holding positions vacant. There were over 100 positions that were unfunded for 2021. So it'll be, I would think, difficult to approve additional funding for new positions in 2021.
Okay,
I don't know
thank
if that
you.
answered your question or not.
As long as you're in discussions with the departments about what they think is going to happen when the floodgates open up, I just wanted to make sure that's on your radar. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Kleinfeld and Steve, if I may, and Commissioner Brown, if I may.
Go ahead, Candy.
This is Andrew McKinnon, the HR director. Steve, Commissioner Kleinfeld, I believe you had mentioned there was a position that had been created in the clerk's office with savings, and Steve sort of reiterated that. We also eliminated a office assistant senior position in that department in order to create that. So we actually didn't increase headcount at all. We created a new position by eliminating the old position and using.
All right. Thank you. I don't want to get in trouble because that part is not COVID related. So thank you for the answer.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Kleinfeld. Good question. Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Vicki.
Hello.
Vicki, I don't know what to tell you. To some people, what you're doing, maybe the executive didn't do any favors by putting you in the position that he did. I think, I don't know. All I can say is, what can I say besides thank you for you and your team for what you guys are doing. This is absolutely monumental. There's no other way to say it. It's monumental. But I have a suggestion that I've used for as long as I can remember in a position of authority. When somebody came to me with a problem, I always said to them, you also have a solution, so you better not come with me with a problem without a solution. And this is just a solution that may or may not work. Those older seniors that are coming in, and I think we've realized by now that Macomb County is an older community. And when you're looking at 300,000 people that are now eligible for shots, we can all see, well, that's going to overwhelm the system. How about trying this? And it's just a suggestion. Why can't we do it in blocks alphabetically? A through B, D through F, M through N, and have that. We have an IT department. Have that placed on the TV. Have Hackle come out on TV and say, listen, if you fall within this alphabetical category, you're eligible to make a phone call. That would eliminate the overload for a start, and that would let people, and then just pick it randomly. I mean, you don't have to starting on A through C or A through whatever, and then do it in the blocks alphabetically. This will eliminate everybody calling at the same time and waiting till their particular last letter of their name is brought up. That's one solution. This $8.4 million that we have that's over, we're deciding, I think that should really be put to the IT section, because I agree 100% with Harold Hall and to all the commissioners, so that you know this emphatically. There is no back door to getting shots. I've had calls from attorneys. I've had calls from judges. There is no back door. You call like anybody else and set up your appointment. And Vicki, as Harold said, there has to be a solution, and I agree. We just can't keep saying to people, we're working on it, we're working on it. You know what? We spend tons of money. Well, I'm waiting for Jocko to get on. When Jocko gets on, then I'm going to do what I have to say. But our two main priorities right now are vaccinations and keeping the small businesses alive. And we have to expedite that. Our time frame is getting short. People are now looking at the second shot. I don't mean to preach, but I'm trying to give you some sort of a solution. Vicky, and I think you know, this board will support you 100%. And again, I try not to blow smoke, but you're doing a super job with just what you have, and it'd be great to have another 400 or 500 people that you could utilize. Unfortunately, you don't. So we have to come up with a solution. I've come up with one I think that may or may not work. I'm hoping that other commissioners, other than pitching and bitching, would also come up with a solution that you could maybe utilize. Vicki, thank you for what you're doing. I personally certainly appreciate it. That's all I got, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano.
Thanks. And I'd just like to say, I know, there are different technology that we can use, but there's also no technology. If we had 100,000 people call in and we were able to answer every one of those calls based on the rate of where we're at with doses, sure, we could give them appointments for doses we don't know that we are coming in, and we would schedule them out for months and create another problem of promising something, giving them false hope that there is something coming and that they have a date. And I'm not saying that to be argumentative. I just want you to know that we think of these things. We're very careful in how we even roll it out internally. And, Commissioner Romano, alphabetical, we've talked about that. Zip codes have come, all different things that we've talked about. And then the first thing that comes back, and again, we've seen this, I'm sure you've seen it. And again, I'm just sharing it so we're all in the same thought process. Why did you start with letter A? Why didn't you start with my zip code? How come I'm the last zip code? So we are in collectively, because yes, I understand you get them and more than I'm exposed to. You always run into those questions, and believe me, and I know you know it, for those of you that know me and all the others on the team, we try our best to accommodate and be fair, and those are the decisions that we're making. And yes, we've looked at waiting lists, and again, I mentioned the problems that come with waiting lists. So I think too, you mentioned people. Sure, hiring more people would help us answer more phones. But again, how many people do you hire to answer 100,000 calls? And as we know, those are the calls that just come on that day. Health department, other departments that get overflow calls or even inquiries, there's thousands a day, not hundreds of thousands, but thousands a day that they are able to get to. So it just, we are looking at everything, and I wish technology, there are improvements again that we're making that we know can help, but it just won't solve the capacity issue right now.
Thank you.
So
I know you're doing your best, Vicki. I know you're doing your best.
No,
you've answered me.
understood.
Go ahead. I'm sure commissioners are there that want to talk to you, but thank you for what you've been doing so far. I really appreciate it. I'll let other commissioners speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Matuzik.
Hi, Vicki. I have a variety of questions given your reports because I'm new and I have a lot of questions. First, I want to echo what other commissioners have said. Your department is doing an amazing job. Everyone I know that has gotten a vaccine, that has gone through your system, has nothing but good things to say about it. It's fast, it's efficient, they feel safe, they feel protected. Everyone was very pleasant. They dealt with, I'm glad that you're now scheduling the second appointments, because I've heard from a lot of folks who got the first appointment and now don't know they're going to get the second appointment. So I'm happy to be able to report back to them that they'll get a call. Someone will follow up with them and try to schedule that. That's great. I do think though, if we could give people a system similar to, frankly, I'm in the Henry Ford system. I'm on their waiting list. I'm on the Meyer pharmacy waiting list. I think if people could just sign up for a waiting list, knowing that they're going to get a call back when vaccines are available, would go a long way to making people feel better. And clearly the issue is the amount of vaccine we're getting. Once we get it, you guys do a fabulous job. So that's my 2 cents. But here are my other questions related to your reports. because we've all talked about vaccines enough. So on your report the financial report you gave, we list contributions from other funds. Who gives us money? It's not the federal budget. So I was just sort of curious about that. It was on the first handout.
Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioner. Those funds will tend to be contributions coming into the CARES fund. In this case, it's not. It's a fund, another grant fund that's getting money from the CARES fund. So it's sort of an oddball thing. It's an
So the Fed sent money to somebody else and they're funneling it back to us.
essentially.
Got it. All right. My second question is about the resources received report, which is about things as opposed to money. So there were, and the report is as of June 19th. So it's sort of a ways away. But I think you may have answered this, but we seem to have a lot of extra PPE here. The amount received minus the amount given out, some of those are large numbers. Is that the stockpile you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So that's enough to get us as a county through this year.
Yes, and we do have distributions that go on during the week. We have regular pushes that we make to the local EMS and fire departments. And then we still have some long-term care facilities or hospitals that make requests to us as well. So yes.
Okay. Do the congregate sites, the nursing homes, etc., is this PPE available to them if they need it?
Yes, they're part of that group that we service. Yes.
Okay, because I hear from people who work in these sites that they don't feel like they have adequate PPE. And so they're reusing masks and things, and that is not good for our seniors who need assistance. So I'd like to make sure that all of those sites know that they can still apply for this, because this is really critical. Our numbers are terrible in nursing homes in terms of the spread of COVID. My next question is, again, on the resources received. We have a lot of stuff listed from the as having been received from the ISD. Why is the ISD giving the county stuff?
Initially, when there were no supplies out there, and I'm talking the early days, early weeks, because of the programs and supplies that the ISD and collectively they had, plus some of the local school districts and the college, that is where our initial supply came from.
Okay, so this is a reflection of this report being early days
yes.
as opposed to now.
And
yeah,
it's cumulative.
Have we sort of paid them back what they gave us, as it were? Or, I mean, I don't want them to be short either.
Yes. Yeah. No, they're fine, and they're part of the process too to get anything through us. But yes.
Okay, those are my questions. I appreciate the detail you gave in the reports and being able to follow the money and see where things are. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Great. You're welcome. Thank you.
Vicki, what about her suggestion about a waiting list? That's questions that come in to me and some other commissioners about, giving them people, at least if they're put on a waiting list, they at least know they've accomplished something by their time.
Right.
To get through on the phone.
Good. Correct. And again, we've looked at it. There's pros and cons. We're looking at that a little more down the road when we have a little more supply to be able to do that. I can tell you, and again, I'm not meaning negative, just bringing you up things that we know of on the side. Oakland County did a program. They have 34,000 people on their waiting list already. Again, that's a lot of people that are signed up. And now we're hearing what ends up happening is the people on the waiting list start calling back because they haven't heard. So I get it. There's systems you can create so they could get a message every so often. So again, we are looking at it, but it's not just as easy as, creating a waiting list. You have to make sure those triggers are in there for time. Otherwise, then we just create another big problem. People become frustrated and angry, and now we're getting calls back on the staff. So yes, it is our consideration. We are looking at a program to be able to do that, and then also send out some of those notifications routinely so they know, hey, we haven't forgotten about you, type of thing.
Yeah, I signed up in the Henry Ford system when they first announced it, and then yesterday I got a little email saying, do you still need a shot? So it was sort of like re-sign up, but that's okay. It made me feel like I was still in line somewhere, and that's what I think people want to feel.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner Matuzik. Next on the list is Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Hello, Vicki. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Welcome back.
Thank you for everything that you do. You seem to get these positions that are just so challenging. So, working with you in the past and here again, kudos to you. I do agree with some of the previous commissioners and what they're saying in regards to these waiting lists. I do think that people would feel much better if they had some kind of, whether it's a ticketing system or something that they know that they're in line and maybe they're getting some type of updates. I know we're going to be talking about the increase here in the phone capacity. It's up here coming up that was bypassed. My concern with that too is that if we keep it in the same manner, and we have to keep this phone system capacity, that's going to be costing us, I think it's like $10,000 a month. So I think we kind of have to think out of the box here. I know you probably have a million ideas that have been brought to you. I do support any other options that we have. I know we're all getting a lot of calls about this issue. I know there's been a lot talked about that already. My next question is in regards to the unallocated $8.5 million. I do agree with Commissioner Kleinfeld in regards to, is there going to be upcoming surprises here with requests from departments that we have, haven't seen yet. I know Steve had said that. I think we just need to get some kind of clarity as to, what our proactive approach is going to be here so that $8.5 million isn't going to be allocated somewhere and then we're hit with more surprises. So I do agree with what Commissioner Kleinfeld was saying earlier. And then my third thought was in regards to the reimbursements. I know you said we're waiting for reimbursements from these different parties. Is there a deadline specifically with these reimbursements that we're waiting for those funding to come back into the county?
Basically now the reimbursements are due. They were due, but I think people, knew about the deadline extension. So I would expect those to, start coming in the next couple weeks. We know they've expended it because they had certain deadlines in there for that. So now it's just getting the paperwork back from them. And when you look at, the funds that are allocated, that, that is within the CARES provision. So anything we do with that needs to be spent in the vein of COVID response. So I just want to make sure that that's clear or as a reminder.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. I'll save some other questions in regards to the phone capacity for later in the meeting. Thank you.
Great, you're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Sabatini. Commissioner Song.
Hi, Vicki. Nice to meet you.
Hello, nice to meet you. Welcome.
Thank you for your report. I also want to express my support for the waiting list. I know you talked about some of the pros and cons, and then you also mentioned that Oakland County is also doing a waiting list. And the other commissioners have sort of expressed, the reason for having a waiting list. So I want to express that I think a waiting list, I think that's what we need, because people are spending hours on the phone trying to get a hold of someone. They're wasting their time, And I've seen people calling you guys hundreds of times. So I think it would be more efficient from the patient's base as opposed to what's convenient for us as a county. I strongly, strongly believe that a waiting list will help to eliminate some of these frustrations that our constituents and all of our residents are experiencing. So I would recommend that you guys strongly please consider creating one. And again, you mentioned Oakland County has one. They've managed to build one. So I think Macomb County, I would expect that from Macomb County as well. So my next question is, when did the tents go up for the last time when we had approved for the tent and flooring system? And what is the capacity, and has that been filled? Because with the limited amount of vaccines, are you seeing enough people coming in to get vaccinated and waiting in the tents? I want to make sure that they are being utilized to the capacity that they were built for.
Sure. I'll go ahead and let Andrew Cox answer that question, the health officer. Andrew?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Commissioner Zong, we thank you for, again, approving the tents. Within days, those were up. They are currently up and functioning. They've been utilized from the start. They are now being utilized for observation areas. So what this allows us to do is vaccinate individuals and then observe them for 15 minutes. We are currently utilizing that. And we're also utilizing that tent space to book the second dose appointments. So that has been added while people wait in observation for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, depending on their medical history. They can now make that appointment for that second dose right there. So they're greatly appreciated, and we're definitely making use of them. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Vicki, I think if I heard you correctly earlier, you said early on, those who got their first vaccine and are waiting for their second, I believe you said that there is no guarantee, even though you guys are proactively calling to schedule people, but still I'm concerned that you mentioned there is no guarantee. So let's say if someone got a vaccine and they, the 2 weeks is now coming up and they haven't heard from you guys, what are their options? I mean, do they just have to get on another waiting list or try to get a hold of you and then vaccinate and then vaccinate it again in 2 weeks? What is the protocol for that?
For the second doses too, with the Pfizer vaccine, it's 3 weeks after your first dose, and now Moderna that we're giving out this week is 4 weeks. One, they don't have to come right in on that exact 21st or 28th day. There is a time frame for that. If there is a case where we miss them, they didn't get a phone call for us, they can call the helpline or the health department themselves too, a regular line, and call and get their second dose as well. Eventually, with the new system we put in place last week, we shouldn't have any of those issues between everyone being given the opportunity while they're at the vaccination site for their first dose. They should all be leaving with that. So we're starting to get down to, essentially a smaller group of people that may have that issue. But yes, if for some reason they don't hear from us, they can call the health department direct.
Okay, and then my last question, you mentioned setting up mobile teams for homebound individuals. That is still in the planning stages, but is there like a date that you guys are targeting for? Because I would imagine those that are homebound are seniors and the ones that do need the vaccine. So I would like to know if there is a timeline for setting that up.
We should have that up and running within the next 2 weeks, if not sooner. So we're just working out the last logistical pieces.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Vicki.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Song. Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Vicky, thank you for the report, and thank you to you, Andrew, and all of our frontline staff. It seems like there's one challenge after the next, and we keep trying to wrap our arms around it, and it's just massive. But thank you for all that you're doing. I have a question. We've talked about the challenges we're facing now, but I want to look forward a little bit. And let's say there's a time where there's an airdrop from the sky and we have enough vaccinations for everybody in the county. I had a healthcare professional ask me yesterday, what would that look like for us? You know, what kind of shifts would we be able to run? Is it, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day? Is it 7 days a week, 12 hours a day? What are we prepared for if/when we ever get to that point?
Sure. For that, getting those amount of doses, again, at our VERC site, we could do probably up to 4,000 a day. And we could do that within, essentially an 8-hour period. So right now we're open 5.5 days with the half day on Saturday. So if we wanted to, we could make a decision to go longer hours. We could also, go for 7 days. The thought process is too that by the time there's that number of doses, it won't be just us in the hospital systems. There are pharmacies that have signed up, that have been approved by the state, some that are still on a waiting list, but that eventually other pharmacies will come online and people will be able to go to their pharmacy and get the shots, just like they do the flu vaccine, and that they'll also be able to go to their regular doctors for those. So at that point in time, if it kind of works the way it should, those would all be in play. So you would start to see more options, more accessibility for everyone across the county.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking at and waiting for too, for that point.
Okay, thank you, Vicky. One more quick question with your report. I know with the CARES Act funding, we were allocating money to all the municipalities in the county. Did every municipality get every dollar that they should have received? Has that all gone out, or is that still in progress?
That's a big area that we're waiting for the reimbursements on. But I believe they spent 99% of their money basically. So we're expecting all that to have been utilized by them. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Kraft. Commissioner Van Sinkle.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Vicky. Nice to see you. Good report.
Nice to see you. Welcome. Thank you.
One of the advantages to going toward the end is everybody's asked your questions already. Just to comment on Commissioner Romano's suggestion about alphabetical, and then your comment about zip codes. If you did want to do that, have Executive Hackle go on TV with the lottery number drum. Pick letters or zip codes out of the drum. Then everybody can see how they're assigned. And then nobody bitches at you, hopefully. But apart from that, the thing I was thinking about the waiting list is I think people are frustrated because they can't do anything. They feel like they're just out there hanging, where a waiting list would say, I'm on the list. And if it was some kind of email list, or they could sign up for status emails on a daily or every 2 or 3 day basis saying, you're 582 in the list, or we expect you to be able to schedule in 2 weeks. To give people an ongoing status, I think, would be a tremendous warm feeling for people. They may not like it. I mean, when I go places and stand in line, I don't like it, but I can see that the line's moving along or whatever. The other question I had is, and it was touched on by Commissioner Zong, is there any kind of criticality in the scheduling for the second dose where if somebody doesn't get it on time, they're going to have to start over again or something?
I'll let Andrew Cox on that. And yes, your point on the waiting list, duly noted, and everyone made good comments on the need for that. So thank you. But I'll let Andrew answer about the second dose timeframe.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. So we have to wait a certain amount of time based off of which vaccine is administered. So Pfizer is the 21 days, Moderna is 28 days. After that point, there's no quote unquote expiration or time frame that you have to reach the dose for vaccinations. So anyone can get that vaccine, that second dose, anytime after that point. Now, of course, we want to get them in as soon as possible so that they're fully protected, and that's why we give them that time frame. Hopefully that answers your question. Let me know if you have anything else.
Well, that's good, because I wanted to make sure we didn't have to have people start over or something.
Nope, that is not the requirement.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'm done. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Wallace.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Vicki. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Most of my questions were about the second vaccine, and those have been answered. So thank you for that. And looking at the care spending plan, I saw there was a section for facility cleaning. Is that the regular cleaners that are already in the facilities that are doing extra cleaning because of COVID, or is that a outsourced company that's coming in and cleaning?
Sure, that was outsourced. We did that twice. We kind of refer to it as a deep cleaning. So we had it done, I think, last spring, early summer, and then once again this fall, right over the Thanksgiving holiday. So that is what that is for.
So is that going to be seasonal then? Because it looks like spring, summer, but fall is over. So now winter.
Yes, it'll come up in our regular discussions if we need to do another round of it. And I think we'll base it on the cases in the county, the positivity, where are we at with vaccines and things of that nature. And to part of it, at the time frame of even October, November, more people were starting to come back to work. So we also base it too on how many people are in the workplace. Now, again, we have more people working remote. So we'll take that into consideration as well when we make that decision.
Okay. And then next question really is just a us helping you type of question. I know once we get updated, some of us post on social media what we've been updated with. Hopefully that lessens the cost to the health department, but I doubt it. So is there anything else that you see would be helpful from our end?
No, I think if you're doing that, and I will say too, for all the new commissioners, for all of us, myself and the other staff, please feel free to reach out to us if you have questions or emails. And again, we can provide some of that information to you direct as you are getting questions. We don't mind doing that. But I think if you can pass that along, and I think the patients, but I know you guys are telling everybody that, and you understand the situation. So no, really, thank you for that. Thanks for the support. It's greatly appreciated. And too, sometimes with the emails or situations that you may get, it's helpful that we know it, because we may not know that's happening. So again, please feel free to reach out and say, hey, did you know this? Or I got this complaint. It may be one that we didn't realize. That happens just quite a bit, just with the size of the operations that we're running, because we want to correct things that are in our control as quickly as we can as well, or get a different message out too if there's something confusing about what we release.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. That's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wallace. Commissioner Zinner.
Hi, Vicky. I don't know.
Hello.
I don't know if I'm the last one. I must be close. I appreciate your report very much.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions for you. In the December, when you said there was, I think, 8,049 cases, the tracing was 21,000. Do you know offhand how many COVID diagnoses were in that 21,000 of the tracing? You may not. I just thought I'd ask.
I'll see, Andrew, do you happen to know, or I don't know if those were all just close contacts?
Well, yeah, you said they were close contacts. I understand.
Yeah, well, we can look at that, Commissioner, and get that information back to you.
I'm curious how the tracing, how much of the tracing actually breeds the COVID, and maybe different groups are different. So maybe there's not a consistency with that. Also, thank you. With the nursing homes, with getting the vaccinations when they drop from the sky. Good thinking on that, Phil. I like that. For the people who want it, with the nursing home patients, with the alert people, are there requests for their consent? And for the people who may not be alert, is there family? Is there a requirement for the family for request for their consent, or is there a general request for their care? This falls in a general category of their care. How's that being handled in the county?
Yeah, it's my understanding for the alert. Yes, it's consent. It's all voluntary. For those that are not, Andrew, do you know the answer to that on how they're handling it?
Yeah, so that's typically worked out with the family members ahead of time. For those that cannot give consent, this is a standard practice that's done in most of those settings where there might not be the opportunity to provide that. So that is a standard practice. So that is done ahead of time, Commissioner, to make sure that all consent forms are signed off either by the individual or the person in charge of their care.
So that would be a specific consent form then, you think, for the
Correct.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. And if these vaccinations are going to be done in the pharmacies, I assume that there'll be someone, there's going to be manpower, obviously, to watch these, the citizens for 15 minutes, like you've put all the effort into with the tents and at the Vermillion building, I'm sure. I would assume that's going to follow through, because that's a concern in pharmacies. Some of those pharmacies have the physical area for that. Some of them are less large. So I would assume that's going to be followed through with.
Correct. They would, at this point in time, yes, they'd have to have the same considerations that we do and provide for that. Yep.
All right. Well, there's probably more questions, but those are the ones I really wanted to ask. And thank you very much for your report. I really appreciate it from both of you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Zinner. On the second round, Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. I'm actually all set. I tried to withdraw my request, but unfortunately it wouldn't let me. But my questions were just recently answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Matuzik.
Yeah, this is actually a follow-up to Commissioner Zinner's question, and we probably don't have the answer given how we are distributing the vaccine. But I have read numerous reports about the rate of vaccine, the rate of a group of employees willing to get the vaccine. So I was reading an article about specific nursing homes where the employees were only at about 30% willing to get the vaccine. Have we looked at that in any way? I mean, I've been reading up on the herd immunity sort of thing, and we have to hit a certain percent before this sort of works. But there has been great reluctance on the part of some groups of employees to get the vaccine. And again, because of how we're distributing it, we probably don't have a good sense of the rate of vaccination among certain groups.
Right, we haven't run any of those numbers. I know it at least for some of it, and just because it's such a diverse group right now. But I know starting out when we were doing the EMS personnel, we were at about 50%, at least in EMS. But I know we've heard the similar things that you mentioned, you know, that it's in healthcare settings, sometimes it's 30%, other times 20%. I think there's just not enough data out there. And then it's something we haven't focused on within the health department, at least at this time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the list of speakers I have. Is there anyone that wants to speak that before we conclude this section? Thank you very much, Vicki, for your report, you and all your staff for the continued good work you're doing. And we appreciate the response to the questions that we get, because our staff has accumulated questions, the many questions that come in from all of us. And we've tried to send them over to you in packages, if we will. And we've been getting prompt responses, so we appreciate it. And they'll keep coming because we're going to keep getting them. So, but thank
No,
you. We appreciate
that's
it.
great. It's worked out well. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Commissioners, we had a motion to receive and file. It's been made and supported. Please vote accordingly.
That motion passes 13-0.
All right. Thank you. Item number 9, we have a series of department recommendations. The first one is Department Item 9A, contract with Rawhorn Electric for a traffic signal at 26 Mile and County Line Road, the amount of $257,543. We have Brian Santor, the Director of Roads, present with us to answer any questions. Can I get a motion on this before we ask Brian to speak?
Farrington, motion
to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Farrington, supported by Commissioner Kraft. Brian Santo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman Brown, and good evening, commissioners, and welcome to the new commissioners on the board. What you have before you is seeking approval of a bid award and contract with Rawhorn Electric for signal improvements at the 26 Mile and County Line intersection. Obviously, to make it a safer and a more efficient intersection with improved left turn phasing, protected left turns. That intersection gets quite a bit of traffic east and westbound throughout the morning and the afternoon, evening commutes. And we're partnering obviously with the St. Clair County Road Commission. They have the easterly leg, and we oversee and monitor the northern, southern, and westerly leg. So this is a seeking approval for, like Commissioner Brown said, the $257,543.63 for the contract with Rawhorn Electric.
Thank you. Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brian, I can't tell you how excited I am for this project. This is probably one of the most important projects I have had the chance to vote on in my district ever since the new high school was built. And I say new, back in 2004 that I graduated from. That intersection has been a challenge, and there have been so many incidents, so many fatalities, and especially with the growing infrastructure out there at 26 Mile and I-94. I can't say enough about this project and how thankful I am for it. And I just want to know, when's the start date? I see on the contract that it needs to be done by mid-October. When are we putting shovels in the ground, man? Let me know.
I would say in the spring when the weather turns, obviously when we get out and about, when the weather, gets better. So, we're looking forward to this project. And just as a prequel, we're going to have probably a project coming forward as far as, improvements to the intersection itself, as far as the structure of the lanes, probably adding right turn lanes, hopefully for eastbound and hopefully westbound. We're trying to communicate that with St. Clair as far as participating with that to obviously improve the roadway itself as well as the signals. So definitely a need.
Brian, thank you so much. Not all heroes wear capes. You are one of them. Thank you, and thank you for your department for what they're doing. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Kraft. Commissioner Song.
Hi, Brian. I think I have the same question as Phil. When will this project start and end? It looks like it's a 9-month project, but hopefully it'll get done before then. I think any type of infrastructure improvement is a good thing. And my other question would be, I'm sorry, I have 2 more questions. So was this bid out to other companies as well, or is this a company that we've worked with in the past that is reputable? And then also, will it maintain certain jobs, or will this contract actually create more jobs since it is a significant timeline? I'm interested to know that.
This project was bid out for advertisement. There were 4 bidders. Rawhorn was the low bidder, and they are familiar to Macomb County. They're one of the top electrical contractors in the county and the surrounding area. So they were the low bid for that advertisement. As far as the time frame, yeah, it's not going to take 9 months. We'll start in the spring. There is some advanced timing as far as the mast arm fabrications. So that has to get in the queue in the schedule for fabrication, which is typically out of state. So that takes some time to get that in, and that's pretty much the controlling item for the operation and completion of this project. So as far as job creation, no, it's a matter of safety and efficiency for the intersection. Obviously, as Commissioner Kraft had indicated, it gets a huge volume of not only high school traffic, but other traffic, business people and commuters on a daily basis. So, we've heard it loud and clear. We've seen it ourselves that obviously the improvement is much needed, and looking to make it obviously a more safe and efficient intersection.
Thank you. And thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Song. Seeing no other comments, motion's been made and supported. Please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Very good.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Brian. Item 9B, professional service agreement with PM Environmental Management of the U.S. EPA's Environmental Agency Brownfield Assessment Grant, $292,000. A motion to approve.
Moved by Kleinfeld.
Support.
Support by Matuzik.
Thank you. We have someone from the office that could explain the contract.
Good evening, Commissioner Brown. This is Amanda Minato from Macomb County Planning and Economic Development.
Good evening.
Yeah,
Amanda.
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Go ahead.
As you mentioned earlier, we were awarded a $292,000 grant from the EPA. The purpose of this grant is to provide funding to complete phase 1 and phase 2 environmental site assessments, sites that are known or suspected to be contaminated by hazardous or petroleum substances. So basically, this grant is going to help us inventory, characterize, assess, and identify cleanup sites throughout Macomb County. We released a request for qualifications for a certified environmental consultant to assist us with this grant. We received a total of 9 proposals, which were reviewed and scored by the Macomb County Planning and Economic Development staff. And we ultimately chose PM Environmental. They have offices in Macomb County, and they have a thorough familiarity with the U.S. EPA requirements, the use of EPA funds. They have good relationships with Eagle and have a lot of experience managing and assisting communities with grants like this. We do have PM Environmental on the call if anyone has any questions for them. This will be approximately a 3-year contract, and we're hoping to kick it off as soon as we receive the approval from you guys. And we have, targeted communities that were applied for in this grant, but we're really looking to reach out to all of the communities in Macomb County and inventory all of their brownfield sites and see where we can best spend our money. Pretty much a summary of it. If you guys have any questions for me, or Ryan from PM is on the call, and we'll be happy to answer those.
Is there any money left over from the last grant? Any leftover money from the prior grant?
So we don't have another assessment grant that we have funds left for, but we do have a revolving loan fund grant, which we have approximately $200,000 in that. And so that's for actual cleanup of hazardous sites. This is for assessments. We do have some money still available. The goal would be maybe we would provide assessment dollars to a site we find out that it is contaminated, and then we can utilize those revolving loan funds to help developer clean up a site with those dollars. So we do have a little bit of money on that end, but no assessment dollars. This is our first round of funding for this in a while.
How much is a phase one? Is there an average for a phase one assessment?
We'll defer to Ryan on that.
This is Ryan Aguchi. I'm with PM Environmental. Thank you for having us along. It's generally dependent on the site itself, how big it is. But in general, we can cover a site usually between $2,000 and $2,500 to do a historical overview and a walkthrough on the site to find out and see if there are any recognized environmental conditions that we would need to take a harder look at.
Thank you. Amanda, do we have a list of duties that on our assistance with this type of money that we haven't met yet? Our waiting list?
So there's no waiting list. When we wrote the grant application, we targeted, I believe, 3 areas for assessment dollars. So one was the Groesbeck corridor, another was Mount Clemens, and if I recall correctly, it was Harrison Township, I believe, was our other site, where we just kind of came up with general areas where we thought these dollars could be used in projects, because when you're writing the grant, they want you to at least have some targeted areas in mind. Again, I think the purpose of this grant is to reach out to all of the communities and hear from them and prioritize projects based on what input that they give us. So there is no waiting list right now. I don't think many of them are even aware that we have these dollars yet. So that's kind of our first step, is to do public outreach and see what projects are out there, and then go from there on prioritizing them and
Sure, our commissioners are all active in their communities, and probably help you with add some people to your list in terms of projects or sites that might need some help and some review. So.
For sure. Yeah, and I think our plan is to have a kickoff meeting, and we will certainly reach out to you guys, whether it's you that would attend the meeting or a representative from your community that would have more knowledge of all the properties that are out there. So yeah, we're very excited to get this kicked off. There's a lot of projects out there.
We're happy to support you in that. So in the loop on when those meetings are, and we'll get to the commissioner in the district that it happens to be in, or the general meeting. We'll let everyone know. So
sounds good. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions on approving this grant? See any speakers on my list? Get a motion to approve.
There is a speaker.
There is. Go ahead, Amaya.
I believe Commissioner Harwell.
Commissioner Ha.
Thank you. Amanda, have you reached out to the SMDA at all? South Macomb Disposal Authority?
No, we have not. We haven't really done much work on this. We were waiting for the approval from the BOC to move forward with PM Environmental, but we can definitely take that as a recommendation and reach out to them throughout this process.
Definitely. They're highly involved in the remediation of sites 9 and 9A out in Washington Township.
Okay.
I would. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Ha. We have a motion.
We had a motion.
Yeah.
Veronica moved and I supported.
Is there any other speakers on this? Please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Good.
Thank you.
Item 8D, budget amendment, planning economic development for the Michigan Strategic Funds Small Business Survival Grant Program of $4,150,000. Need a motion to approve?
Motion by Ha.
Support?
Support by Sabatini.
Thank you. We have Vicki Rowinski, Director of Planning Economic Development, here tonight to give us advice or talk to us about this. Could you run through it for us, please?
Sure, absolutely. But I just want to make note on the agenda. We do have one other item that came before this, but I don't mind speaking about this item because it's pretty important to us. The Michigan Strategic Fund, they did provide $55 million in funding for small business grants. Macomb County received an allocation of $4.15 million, in which those grants, as Vicki Wilbur mentioned earlier on the call, are currently open right now. That closes out at noon tomorrow. This morning, we were about 1,300 applications from Macomb County businesses in the queue. Just got an update. It's right now it's about 2,300. And so we anticipate a big turnout from our businesses responding to that grant application. And so what you have in front of you is a budget amendment to receive those dollars.
Thank you. We'll deal with D and we'll go back to C when we're done with this one, Commissioners. Anyone on this topic? Commissioner Farrington.
Yes, thank you, Chair Brown. Vicky, welcome. I was looking it over today, and a couple of questions I have is, in it says the grantee can assess an administration fee. It says Macomb County is a grantee. How much is being whittled away out of that 4.15 million to take care of the administration?
Right. So we can receive up to a 5% admin fee for taking on the administration of the grant.
Is that your intention to take that on?
In the past, we have taken a portion of that to help pay for some of the software and overhead that was required for us to fulfill on the grant applications. This go around, we may look at what that admin fee looks like. However, the majority of the money has been allocated towards grants, getting those dollars out to the businesses.
And there's a couple follow-up questions here. You just said there's 2,300 applications, and if you divide the amount of money, if everyone got a grant, that's about $1,800, much lower than the $15,000 to $20,000 that they were projecting. Is there any early estimation of how many of those applications are going to be approved?
Yes, we've kind of put some numbers together. I would say we've got some pretty strong familiarity with the grants and just the sheer volume that we've received in the past. As the lead EDO, we do have the ability to prioritize, which we've been very transparent that we are going to prioritize those businesses that have been impacted by the pause, which took place in November. Those includes your restaurants, your bars, banquet facilities, gyms, recreational facilities. We want to get that messaging out to our Macomb County businesses that we are going to prioritize those types of businesses due to the impact and the severity of the impact they've experienced all year. We anticipate probably right around $5,000 grants going out, similar to what we've issued in the past, which we're looking at close to 800 grants in total.
Thanks. Assuming the board approves this, since it's already in play, what's the timing of the disbursements to the companies?
Yes, and the timeline is pretty tight on this one. In fact, by next Sunday, we've got to actually make award announcements. We have the ability to automate our scoring matrix in order to get those numbers and those awardees back to the MSF board. The checks all have to be issued, fully allocated by February 28th. So we've got about a month to turn this around.
Okay, and final one, I appreciate it. Macomb County was allocated $4.15 million. Based upon our population, we should be getting 8.5%, not 7.5% of that pool. Is there any reason that we got the short end of the stick?
Right. So the allocation is close to 7%, in which they looked at the number of businesses and establishments in our community. So it wasn't based on number of residents, people living here. It was based on establishments.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Farrington. Commissioner Song.
Hi, Vicki. Second Vicki, nice to meet you. So you mentioned banquets, and I noticed the newsletter that you guys send out to, I think it's area businesses, because I do get that one as well, that you mentioned banquets and entertainment facilities, but specifically for the survival grant, the requirements are that they cannot be a banquet or an entertainment venue, because there's actually a separate grant for those industries. So I just wanted to point that out because it was noted in the email and then again today. So correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the entertainment and banquet.
Yeah, there's if I could
prioritizing that.
So there is a second grant that was issued. That one is not being handled by our office. That one's being handled by a different agency within the state of Michigan for entertainment facilities. Those are your typical concert halls. When we look at the parameters on that one, they did their homework and said there's probably about 70 facilities in the state of Michigan that would qualify for that particular grant. And so it would not necessarily be your traditional banquet facility unless they were a concert hall or entertainment venue where they had stadium seating. And also there's a requirement on the head count, which, for example, in Macomb, we've got the Center for Performing Arts. However, the employee head count's too high, so they would not be eligible for that grant.
What about like wedding venues or even like smaller base banquet halls? Is that still included in this grant?
Yeah, we would encourage them to apply for the survivability grant.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you. There are no other speakers. We got a motion made and supported. Please vote.
That motion passes 12-1 with Commissioner Song abstaining.
Thank you. 8C, Consulting Services Agreement, Converge Strategies LLC with the Detroit Arsenal Regional Defense Assessment and Resilience for $250,000. I need a motion on this.
Motion to approve, Kraft.
Farrington, support.
Support, Romano.
Very good. It's been moved and supported. Vicki, could you explain this one, please?
Sure, absolutely. If you guys recall, we've got some new members on the Board of Commissioners. Back in September, we did receive a grant through the Office of Economic Adjustment for a Detroit Arsenal resiliency study. Actually, on the line, we have John Kolkazi, who is our senior planner, who's actually leading up our project lead on this one. So I'm going to turn it on to him, and he can talk a little bit about the process, the scope of work, and convergent strategies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki, and good evening, Commissioners. First, thank you for considering this item and formally reviewing it before we start the study. I'll be updating you with which consultants we've selected for the DAR2 study, or DAR2, however you want to say it, and what the study is and how it will be funded. So we are notifying the board that we have selected this consultant. The consultant is Converge Strategies, along with a partnership with the Idaho National Lab, which is a world-renowned laboratory that does research related to utilities, infrastructure, and the like. They were the winning bidder, and they were ultimately chosen in a competitive bid process that included applications from a number of very qualified candidates. And this was also reviewed by a selection panel that included the county, the Detroit Arsenal, as well as other stakeholders like utility companies and the like. The winning bid was for $250,000 and will be funded by federal funds from the Office of Economic Adjustment, also known as the OEA. If approved by the board, we look to begin this study come February of this year. So just a quick overview on what the actual study is. It's a comprehensive installation resilience analysis involving the Detroit Arsenal, Macomb County, and other related stakeholders like Consumers Energy, Detroit Edison, the Water Authority, and other utilities. This effort is to better understand the installation's environmental and energy resilience vulnerabilities and security, including the installation's shared common electric service provider, electric power plant, natural gas provider, utility distribution networks, and water resources. The disruption of these utilities to these DoD assets, as well as the community, but not exclusive to the DoD asset, will severely impact industries in that area, as well as related to the Department of Defense, the surrounding community, and would ultimately have a significant impact on the security of the nation. This is a very unique study. It's one of the first of its kind in the nation, and will be kind of a standard bearer for what may become a thing that's done throughout the rest of this country. We're kind of a guinea pig in this one for the Office of Economic Adjustment. So some of the objectives that we're looking to do with this study is to identify threats and vulnerabilities to the military installation as well as the community. And then from that, we're going to look to propose solutions for the Detroit metropolitan area, which we are looking to inform decisions at a regional level, optimize collaboration and resources between stakeholders, so that way everyone's kind of on the same page with regard to emergency management and critical situations like that. And then, yeah, build regional resilience across all sectors, and hopefully drive innovation that will be the first of its kind. So that's a brief overview of what we're looking at. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it. I believe we also have Shannon, who is the primary energy manager at the Detroit Arsenal, who might be on the line, I believe, if you have any other questions specific to this project. So
I'm present on the line, John.
Oh, there you go. Thanks, Shannon.
Is there anything else you needed to add?
No, sir, just that we've been meeting actively with utility partners at Consumers Energy and also with some of the emergency managers throughout the region and in Detroit specifically to look at regional vulnerabilities. And so what I'd like to express is that a lot of the opportunities that we expect to find within this study will come from the threats that will impact not just the arsenal, but the region as a whole. And what we're hoping is by partnering with the DoD and our utility partners, that any solution sets that we can create on the installation can be then transferred technologically out into the region through the utility partner to create energy resilience for key manufacturing capabilities as well as the residents of the region.
Things like redundancies of systems, key systems, redundancies, is that probably where that's going to go?
Yes, sir. We're looking at specifically interconnections between utilities. So where key catastrophic failures may impact that we don't understand. So what we're looking at is modeling all of the infrastructure for the utilities to see where there's overlap and to see where we should be focusing our efforts. And if collectively we're looking at things that we, and through collaboration, can foster a better sense or better projects through that collaborative effort. So for example, if Macomb County is looking at something from an infrastructure perspective and Consumers Energy is looking at something, will that collaborative effort create a better outcome and better energy security postures? I can tell you right now we're working with Consumers Energy. We're looking at some Department of Energy grants. And so we're hoping that some of the technologies that we're looking at on the installation, for example, in the hydrogen sector, would help to create more regional natural gas security to prevent things that we saw that happened with the polar vortex.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Farrington. Okay. Any other speakers? I don't have anyone on the list. Motion's been made and supported. Please vote.
That motion passes unanimously.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Vicki, for being here tonight for the information.
You got it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item 8E, budget amendment, community corrections. Reclassify part-time pretrial specialist to full-time pretrial specialist for $50,000. We have Barbara Caskey here to fill us in on this, but I need a motion. I have a motion.
Motion to approve, Ha.
Second, Zinner.
Very good. The motion's been made and seconded. Barbara, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon or evening, commissioners. We're here today to request to reallocate $50,000 of our Michigan Department of Corrections grant funds to combine that with $31,000 that is currently funded through the county. Currently, that funds a part-time pretrial specialist position, and allowing us to combine some of those state grant funds along with the county funds would create a full-time position to accommodate the increase in pretrial services referrals. And when we're referencing pretrial services, we're talking about risk and needs assessments for those who were recently arrested so that we can provide recommendations on bond and programming to the courts for arraignment, and also supervision of those individuals while they're in the community on different types of programming, including tether monitoring, drug testing, treatment services, things of that nature. As you're aware, we've had an increase of individuals who are awaiting court hearings that are in the community rather than being incarcerated. We've increased, currently we're about 25% higher than what we were from last year, and it is expected, particularly with some of the new legislation that was signed, that this will continue to increase in an effort to keep people in the community when it is appropriate to do so. So we are requesting to reallocate that $50,000 within our grant. And I'm happy to answer any questions I can.
Okay. Any questions, commissioners? I don't see anyone. We have a motion been made and supported. Please vote.
That motion passes 12-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, commissioners.
Thank you. Item 9F, budget amendment, Macomb Community Action Digital Divide Assistance, $60,000. Gary Cutler from the Physical Services Manager for our county here to explain that. But first, I need a motion.
Moved by Kleinfeld.
Supported by Matuszek.
Supported by Commissioner Matuszek. Gary, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Hi, Chair. Ernest Colby here from Macomb Community Action. Just to all the new commissioners, I hope to talk with you about community action soon. The next three items are ours. This first one is a continuation of our State of Michigan grant. You may have seen the State of Michigan announce the Digital Divide program. Across the state, community action agencies have been working on this program. In Macomb County, we have secured iPads, iPad cases, a digital subscription of a data plan for a year, and also an insurance plan for that small quantity that the Digital Divide grant provided. We are having our second distribution tomorrow, and this amendment simply reflects an increase of $60,000 on top of our original grant award of $238,000. So this was an item that the board saw previously, and we got a little bit of an increase to make it go farther here in Macomb County.
Excellent. Anyone want to speak to this? No speakers on the list. Motion's been made and supported. Please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item G, a budget amendment, Macomb County Community Action Services Division United Way Southeast Michigan grant for winter relief for $100,000. And Ernest, you can go ahead and give us background on that one as well.
Yeah, this grant, as you may know, community action is involved in the homeless prevention, rapid rehousing, and eviction diversion efforts across Macomb County. Toward those efforts, obviously, we coordinate with the mandated continuum of care and our homeless partners around the county. In advocacy for that effort, we have been working to advance some of our homeless prevention efforts, and we had requested from United Way of Southeast Michigan additional support specifically to supplement our Emergency Solutions Grant, which helps provide both homeless prevention and rapid rehousing. As you can see in your board materials, this request was for 1,500 extra nights for homeless prevention related to our existing efforts.
Very good. Questions, commissioners? Seeing no one on the list, please vote.
Chair Brown, I think we do have a speaker on this item.
Commissioner Song.
Sorry, it popped up there. Sorry.
It was last minute. Thank you, Chair. Hi, Ernest. I was wondering how many families are currently being housed and what is the period? So is it just for the winter? Is it for a week or two? How does that work? And then what happens after the stay is over?
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. I would be glad to present an overview of community action and our homeless services in general. It's important to remember that we have one piece of the puzzle. Across the country, it's structured into mandated continuums of care. Along with our partners like McCrest and the Homeless Coalition, each of us participate in the Homeless Management Information System, which is a central point of coordinating care across the many agencies. So for each agency, it differs. What I can tell you is that we work as hard as possible to prevent homelessness in the first place. We work to prevent eviction and prevent foreclosure. That's our first line of defense. Second line of defense is to use our shelter system in place as well. During this winter, we set the warming center, which usually relied on area churches to provide a one-night stay. Due to the coronavirus concerns, many of the partners did not want to participate, and so we have been renting extended stay hotels for the duration of the winter for that warming center period. Efforts like that sort of confuse the figures as far as duration of stay when existing shelter operations or diversion operations are adjusted due to COVID. But I can tell you, usually when we receive a notice that somebody is at risk of being homelessness, we're able to use our rapid rehousing services to find them housing, permanent housing, within a couple weeks. So our goal is to have those stays be as short as possible and, of course, to keep families together.
That's sufficient for you, Commissioner?
Yes, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. We do have a motion and supported. Please vote. Great.
That motion passes 12-1 with Commissioner Van Sickle abstaining.
Okay. Commissioner Van Sickle and Commissioner Song, when you vote to abstain, just state a reason for your abstention. Commissioner Song, when you voted previously, what was the reason why you abstained?
Yes, Chair.
Not my personal.
I was just notified by Crystal. I didn't know of the rules, so my apologies for that. But if you will allow me the time to explain, I would love to. So I did abstain from the survival grant because, as most of you know, I am a small business owner. I have a clothing store in Warren on East 12 Mile Road, and I have applied for the grant on behalf of the company. And so I would like to abstain from any decisions being made in regards to the grant.
Very good. Thank you so much. Presenter. Someone else who abstained? Let's vote.
Yes, Chair Brown, it's actually Commissioner Van Sickle.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Van Sickle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Chair, I did. I was trying to ask a question and I didn't have an opportunity to get the answer to that, so I abstained.
Okay. Very good. All right, thank you. Item 8H. Macomb Community Action Children and Family Services Community Foundation for Southeastern Michigan Funds for Head Start Program for $21,000. Ernest, can you go ahead and speak to that?
Absolutely. And Commissioner Van Sickle, happy to answer any questions you have about our homelessness support as well. This grant from the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan is related to their PEDALS program, which stands for Positive Emotional Development and Learning Skills. As these three items sort of give you a broad array of what we do here at Macomb Community Action. One of the things we do in our Head Start program has been nationally recognized for innovation around trauma-informed care, social emotional development and learning. And so this program is around social emotional development and learning and mental health supports, and we will be providing additional classroom supplies to help support those efforts across our Head Start program.
Thank you. Need a motion to approve?
Romano, a motion to approve.
Zinner, second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this? I don't see any speakers. Commissioner Van Sickle, did you want to ask a question of Ernest on the previous item? I'll allow that. You had a question from the previous item.
These are funds that the county is granting to United Way, correct?
No, these are funds that we are receiving from United Way.
You're receiving from United Way. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no other speakers or questions, please vote on item 9H.
That motion passes 13-0.
All right, very good. Item 9I, contract, Arab Community Center for Economic and Social Services Access, special supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, and children and services for $301,000. We have Natalie Dean present with us this evening to speak to this item. I need a motion on this item.
Commissioner Matuzik moves.
Support by Commissioner Song.
Okay, very good. Natalie, are you available?
Good evening, commissioners, and welcome to our new commissioners, Natalie Dean Wood from the Health Department. We would like for you to approve the contract for Access. They have been working with WIC for a number of years. This contract is for $301,000, and it is to be continued for the next 4 years. This did go out to bid, and Access was the only one that submitted a bid. So I ask you this evening to approve this contract.
How many households are serviced by this?
They do approximately 2,100 participants a month just through Access.
Very good. I know it's a busy center down there and they do a lot of good work.
Mm-hmm.
Any speakers? I don't have any speakers on the system.
Chair, I believe Commissioner Van Sickles raised his hand. Am I correct?
Commissioner Van Sickle, did you have a question?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Good to see you, Natalie.
Hi.
You mentioned that this contract, you said this contract goes for 3 years?
Yes, there are provisions in there where it could be renewed for 3 years once this contract is approved today, or if it is approved today.
And the contract today for $301,000 goes for how long?
It goes for the term of the contract.
Which is?
It will be a 4
What's
years
the
in
term?
total.
So the $301,000 covers 4 years?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Commissioner Song, I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
Hi, Natalie. So does Access provide the same services that like Macomb Community Action provides? Could you talk a little bit more about what this contract entails?
This contract works with the Macomb County WIC program, Women, Infants, and Children's. And the WIC program is a nutritional supplement program, which is totally different from Macomb Community Action. This is a USDA program that provides resources for those that qualify for the WIC program. So basically, we're looking at low income, those that are facing a lot of challenges now due to COVID, total different auspices from Macomb Community Action. Is that enough for you? You need a little bit more.
Commissioner Song, did that answer that, provide you enough information?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Commissioner Zinner.
Hi, Natalie.
Hi, Ms. Commissioner.
Barb is fine, thank you. Natalie, how long would you say this particular program has been running? Do you know offhand?
The particular relationship with Access or WIC?
No, with this,
with Access?
With this exact program. Is this called Access?
Access is the organization that we're holding the contract with. WIC is the program that Access works through.
I see. So with the exact wording that I'm looking at here, how long has that been providing for this group of people?
Access has been working with Macomb County for at least the past 6 to 7 years, providing services to the Arab American community.
6 years. So how long has this Arab community been in need? Do you know that?
I could not answer that, but I can find out some information for you and get back.
Do you know how many people are involved with that need? 21 households.
2,100 participants.
I thought I missed something there. 21. Well, there you go. Well, that makes sense. Thank you for explaining that. All right. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please vote.
Chair, Commissioner Nard had her hand up.
Didn't see that. Commissioner Nard, please go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Natalie. I just wanted to ask, is this just for Arab Americans, or is this week for everyone? I'm not understanding because it says Arab community. I'm just not understanding the connection with WIC.
Okay, if you know a little bit about WIC, they provide services for women, infant, and children. As the population within Macomb County became more diverse, we identified a gap for the services for that population. As you all know, certain communities feel comfortable working with their own communities. So we didn't have anybody on staff that was Arab American or speaking Arabic. We were approached by Access. We had conversations with them years ago. And like I said, for over the past 6 to 8 years, Access has been the one providing specific services to the Arab American community. They would not turn away anybody else that came there if they were not Arab American, but we have them focus specifically on that population because that's the people that the population feel comfortable working with.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I wanted to understand was I wanted to make sure that it just wasn't for a specific group of people. Was it broad? Anybody that needed the help.
It's to anybody that needs the help. And you're breaking up a little bit, so if I missed something.
Okay. No, you didn't miss anything.
Okay. It's for anybody that needs help. And just like our WIC up here, the doors are open. We just made a focus to address that population because there was an identified need.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you,
You're welcome.
Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Farrington.
Yes, thank you. And I'm kind of scared because my screen all of a sudden just went with one big picture and it's Commissioner Haas. So I'm a little scared right now. But Natalie, thank you for coming in. Just to back up what she said when I was a state representative, we did studies in both Access and the Chaldean Foundation. We're able to serve that segment of the population a much lower rate than state could, because the skill sets that they brought to the table. So we appreciate the help in going forward. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Same thing happened to me, Commissioner, with the screen. Just kidding. Quick question in regards to Commissioner Van Sickle's question regarding the contract term. Just a little bit more clarity, Natalie, if you could. The total amount here that you're asking for is for the entire 4 years, but the contract is worded with a 1 year and 4 year, 1 year renewal. So are you anticipating to just continually renew this contract? And
yes.
First part of my question. Second part of my question is if that isn't renewed during this term, let's just say in year 2, you decide not to continue it for whatever the reason that may be, what would happen to those funds?
I would say, first of all, we wouldn't stop the grant because we have to address that population. The WIC program, basically the funds come through the federal, through USDA. So that's another opportunity for us to continue this service. If we were unable to provide the services, we probably wouldn't even get the funding from USDA.
Okay. So the renewals are just in there pretty much as a provision for us.
Yes, exactly.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Sabatini. Anyone else? I don't see any hands or people on the queue. So please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
All right, very good.
Thank you, commissioners. Have a good evening.
Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it, Natalie. Thanks for your good work you do for us.
Thank you.
Guess all look good. Thank you. Item J, contract extension, Avenue Enterprise Solutions LLC, Register of Deeds Software. For 1.42 document. I need a motion.
Motion to approve, Ha.
Support Matuzik.
Very good. Is there anyone here from the clerk's office? I believe Brian Burdak is here.
Yes, I am. Good evening.
Good evening, Brian. Can you speak to this for us, please?
I sure can, sure. Good evening to everyone. I know some commissioners are new on the board, so I can make this as long or as brief as you'd like, but I figure you probably would like some idea of what it is you're voting on this evening. The next two agenda items belong to the Register of Deeds clerk's office. They are extensions of a contract that ran from 2015 to 2020. These are the fourth and second extension of that initial contract with Avenue. The reason we're filing or asking tonight for an extension is because we are in the process of transferring to a new software vendor. We went out to bid in 2019. The IT department, along with us, went out to bid for a new contract for the services in both Register of Deeds and Vital Records for the software that houses all of our documents. So this would be birth records, death records, business registrations on the Vital Records side, and all property records, deeds, and so forth on the Register of Deeds side. We've been with this current vendor for over 16 years. And the reason that the clerk went out for bid in 2019 was because the system we're using is extremely outdated. Technology has advanced. It was time for us to get a new system. The extensions are being asked for, again, this is a 3-month extension because we've had a delay in the project due this time to COVID. And so we need to continue with the current vendor that's providing us that service until we can cut off onto the new system and work with those folks. The contracts are for the same, the extensions are for the same amount as the previous extensions, and those extensions were a reduction in the cost of the initial 5-year contract from 2015 to 2020. So we're before you today with those extensions. I can probably tell you we'll be coming to you again for another extension because I don't know that we'll actually finish our project by by the end of March. But we will bring those to you when we need to make those extensions again.
Okay, thank you, Brian. We're going to take these individually, though. We're going to take item J, the contract extension with Avenue Enterprises for the Register of Deeds. Is there any questions on that subject, on that item? Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Brian.
Hi.
The information is $1.42 per document. How many documents are we talking about?
So the Register of Deeds on a typical year processes between 150 and 170,000 documents. That's about what our average is right now.
So it's $1.42 for new documents, not for all the documents we've already stored historically.
Correct. When a document is recorded at the Register of Deeds, the fee per document is statutorily defined. There's a $30 filing fee for a document. the contract with this company, they receive $1.42 for each document that is filed in the system. Our new contract with our new vendor is not based on the number of documents we file, but it is based on a software per license per year. When this contract was written back in the day, all the technology companies were making their money by a per document fee. And so this extension is a reduction from the original 5-year contract per document rate, which at that time was $1.72. I also want to say that this motion, although it's not written on the agenda, in your recommendation packet, it also includes a 4-cent per document indexing fee that we also have a contract for with the same company. So when you're voting on I, you're voting for what you see on the agenda, but also you need to look at the recommendation action in the packet. And that explains the second part of item J.
And that 4-cent fee is for the new documents also?
It is for the same exact document. It is for the indexing of the document, which we have a separate contract for with the same company. They index those documents in the evening while we're all gone and at home, so that within 24 hours, every document that comes into the Register of Deeds, both electronically and through the mail, is indexed in our system so that title companies, when people are making business transactions on properties, can see in our system what documents related to that property before it's given title insurance, what documents are here at our house, even though they may not be completely through the filing process.
Thank you.
And the office has been contracting that portion of our process here. They've been contracting that out for probably the last 13 years. It previously was done in-house by employees. And 13 years ago, this contract was set to do the indexing outside.
Thank you. Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hey, Brian. Good to see you again. I remember this contract years ago, and this is a big deal when we were trying to get with the times years ago. Quick question in regards to the document fee in this extension option. Is there so many extensions in that contract that we're allowed to take?
So the current our current vendor was one of the vendors that competed bid-wise to get the new contract. We did not select them because of issues that we have had with them in the past. And one of those issues was that this company has changed ownership 4 times just since I've been in the clerk's office. So over the last about 7 years, they've been bought out and sold 4 times. And each time that happened, it became more complicated for us to reach out to somebody to assist us with technology issues that we were having. This could be extended as many times. They have worked with us through this transition process and other issues in past years, which were complicated here in the clerk's office. And they've been gracious about that. We've operated without a contract with them during a 2-year period when it wasn't renewed. So they've been very flexible. Quite honestly, I think they are happy to have our business for an extended period of time. We were supposed to have been on the new Tyler contract in April of 2020, and because of COVID, they're basically getting an extension and benefiting from what's happened because of COVID.
Yeah, I could see that. So is that the new vendor, is that contract already been signed and they're just waiting for this transition, or where does that new contract stand?
Sure. So the new contract was signed in August of 2019. We then had to go through a period that's called data conversion, which is where all of the records in our current system are then exported out and given to the new vendor, and then they try and take that information and make it fit into their technology so that we can still find all of our records and the public can find all of our records. That process normally takes 4 months. Because of the age of the current software that we're using and the company that we have the contract with, there were many delays on their end getting that data to the new vendor. So that process took from August of 2019 until January of 2020, which set that project implementation back. And so that once that was complete in January, then the new vendor had to take a certain amount of time to take that data and carve it into their system. Then COVID hit. And so where we're at in the project now is we need to train our staff on how to use the new software. And once the training of the staff is complete, and we now have to transfer all of the data from 2020, which is still not in the new system, that has to go in the new system. And then once that happens, we can go live with the new technology.
Got it. Okay, so I like the intentions and the new licensing agreement because that's basically unlimited. It's kind of what I'm understanding with the new contract based on licensing. What's your anticipation and how much longer this is going to take? Because if you said you're probably going to come back for another 3-month extension, based on my numbers, this extension just in 6 months, we're looking at almost $1 million here. So not that we're in control of the delays, but you know, we still are paying these delay costs.
I'm not sure about the math. So the cost that we're paying is based on basically the revenue that comes in.
Okay, so based on the revenue that comes in, that's being allocated to that document cost.
Right. Everything in this current contract with Avenue and in the extension, there's no money we're fronting them on the Register of Deeds side. It's all based on documents that are filed. So if no documents are filed, they make $0.
Okay.
So we're collecting money to cover the cost of this, and the money that this contract is paid out of our tech fund, which is a statutory fund that can only be used for technology purposes and for making records here in our office accessible to the public to find their documents.
Yeah,
so
I remember that in the real estate industry, and I remember this contract and all the details and when we were going to use that technology fund specifically for these purposes. So no, that's great. You answered all my questions. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Sabatini. Any other questions on this item? We have a motion and it's been seconded. Please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Okay, item 9M. The item K, contract at Statute Avenue for vital records software. A motion on this item.
Tuzik makes a motion.
And Sickle second.
By Kraft. Motion on this item.
Commissioner Van Sickle, I have a question.
Please go ahead, Commissioner.
With the, thank you, Chair. With the new software, is our data housed on site at a county facility or is this off site at a vendor's location?
Sure. So the current contract with Avenue and our data currently is housed in both places. So the system we're currently using is initially stored on a network drive here in-house with the county IT department. And it is backed up in 2 locations by the company that we have the contract with, by Avenue. One on each end of the coast of the country. Also, it is filmed on image film, and a roll of the images monthly is stored in Iron Mountain. So that's how the current system works. When we switch to Tyler, we are switching to a cloud-based system, not a system that's housed on a drive here. And we will also continue to back up on film with the new film.
And how's the security of the cloud system?
So as part of that contract, IT was involved in the bid out of all of that, and those questions were raised when we did the bid outs with each individual bidder that applied, and it was determined with their input and the input of the clerk that the cloud-based technology with the security that this system provides would be more than adequate to protect our information and the public's information. And I'm not an expert with computer security, but the IT department had the blessing on this, and we worked with them for the bid out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions on this item? Motion. Please vote. We already have a motion on the floor.
To 0.
Very good.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Brian. Item 9M, the agreements with information technology maintenance agreements. First quarter 2021 package 3.
Mr. Chair, I think you missed one.
Yeah, item I, that's right. Item I, budget amendment, capital improvement plan. Software defined network environment finance payment 105 for $1,126,696. Jaco? First, can I get a motion on this item? Motion to
approve Kraft or support from.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Farrington, and supported by Kraft. Jaco, want to sue this, please?
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners, and congratulations and welcome to the new commissioners. I'm sure I will get to know you in the course of this year. This specific one, we came to you middle of last year with a CARES Act request, as well as a county capital fund request. And it's what we call software-defined networking. It's really the upgrade of our infrastructure for the county. The CARES Act portion of that is about $4 million, and we're just about finishing up that portion of the project. Moving forward, we have a financed component over the next 5 years. This is the first payment of the finance components that we asking or bringing to the board to make. The payment is due February 1st, and it's for an amount of $1.126 million.
Very good. Any speakers on this? Don't see any speakers. The motion's been made and supported. Please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Okay. Item M, agreements on information technology maintenance agreements.
As you know, commissioners, about on a quarterly basis, we come to you with our maintenance agreements. We have very significant maintenance budget that we spend throughout the year. This time, there's 2 maintenance items included here. The one is for NeoGov, which is the system that's used by our HR department. And then there's also the treasurer's cash register system and the maintenance on that. The reason we're bringing the NeoGov one to you is less than $35,000, but cumulatively we are already over $35,000. So that's why we're bringing that one to you as well.
Thank you for doing that. We appreciate that.
Chair, did we have a motion on that?
I don't.
I will make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. Is there support?
Support Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Commissioner Kleinfeld. Commissioner Farrington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jaco, thank you for coming here. Since NeoGov's been in, have you gotten feedback from the users on the software?
We've got feedback from the users on the software. I think in general, the system works well. We do have some issues, specifically around our learning management system. The learning management system has, for some reason, all the browsers are not working properly. And we've opened a ticket with a vendor, and they are working on, how to resolve that problem. Between Andy McKinnon and myself, we had quite a few phone calls with the vendors and making sure that they really need to resolve that issue. What it basically does is somebody take a training and it doesn't register that they've taken that training. That's just not acceptable.
No, I appreciate that, because as a new employee of the county, I went through it, and it was probably the worst onboarding example I've ever seen in my life. So I did talk to Andy about it, but
okay.
Hopefully the corrections are made. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions? A motion's been made and supported. Please vote.
That motion passes unanimously.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioner 9N, ratify a bypass item, purchase a Video Amazon Web Services, call center, cloud services, new CARES Act funding. Jacob, can you get a motion on this, please? Get a motion to.
So moved, Van Sickle.
Thank you.
Support Romano.
Very good. Thank you. Jacob, go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner Chair Brown. This is obviously been brought up earlier in the meeting, by Vicky and others. And what this really is currently, for the past 3 weeks, we've used our phone system, internal phone system. We set up a call center, and we use our internal phone system. The dilemma that we have here is that we currently have about 500 call paths, as we call them. That means 500 phone lines that come into our system. When we get the volume of calls that we getting every Tuesday, it is just very overwhelming. Part of the problem is we don't have enough phone lines. For us internal to be able to scale that environment is extremely expensive. The reason why we want to move to this cloud solution, a complete cloud hosted solution, and doesn't use our internal phone lines, is specifically for that reason, to get it off of our network. You can imagine that a company like Amazon have the ability to scale to numbers that we just can't. But what's even more lucrative in this whole process is the fact that we can scale up and down as we like. We're signing a contract with this company, but we can scale up the numbers. Right now, what we've asked for is 500 phone lines. You don't really pay for the phone lines; you just pay for usage per minute. About 1.8 cents per minute, and that's what we pay for. So when we're not using it, and we're shutting it down, there's no payment. The way that I've calculated this, and it is extremely difficult to calculate a number of how many calls we're going to take, but this is my best guesstimate, calculated on this basis for us to handle about 40,000 calls on a Tuesday when the calls come in. And when I say handle, I mean the calls come in and they come into our queues and we can answer calls. We only have 50 agents or less than 50 agents that can answer calls. We take about 4 minutes per call to get people processed. But going through that process, we are then in an environment where this will at least be able, when the system is overwhelmed, we can send out messages. The routers on the edges of this will not be overwhelmed because they sized or scaled much bigger than what we have and can afford as a county. So they will be able to handle the calls much better and, process it. And one of the major benefits is it doesn't compete with our internal phone lines. We've had issues over the past 2 weeks, specifically with dispatch administration lines, not 911 lines, but their admin lines that they use to make calls, callbacks to people that call in through 911. And they also use that for medical alerts and things like that. And we don't want this whole system to interfere with what dispatch is doing. And obviously our departments as well. You probably experienced that yourself if you were internal in the county, dialing out during those times. It's very difficult to get a line to make a call. And that's really in short, what this is about. So I'm open for any questions.
Chair, very quickly, can we remind everybody that's not speaking to mute? Thank you.
Yes, you heard that, Commissioners. You're not on the line. Please mute your device. Commissioner Matuzik.
This is not a question specifically about the content of this, but can someone explain to me about bypass budget items or bypassed items on the agenda and what that means?
An item that was bypassed time to time, there, like this item needed to be purchased and get moving forward, but given the time deadlines facing the departments. So they authorize it and it goes to the board chair, the finance chair, and the committee chair to sign off and expedite the contract. In this case, it was put on the agenda tonight for everyone to see because the timeliness of when our board meeting fell. So, but there will be times in the future where if we don't have a full board meeting promptly, so there's a bypass procedure to allow something that's real crush or real need to get something approved of ASAP, and then ultimately brought back to the board for review. But so that's it in a summary.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Song.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Jaco. My question is, does the IT department have the capacity to set up the AWS service, or do you guys have to go through Presidio? Because the way I'm reading the contract is they would be providing the service, but it'll be through AWS. So can the IT department just do that as opposed to having Presidio do that?
This is a complete new system, Commissioner, and not something that we've implemented or worked for before. And especially when it comes to the, very short time span to implement this, we obviously have no time to train any of our staff internally to do the setup. And obviously, when you set up something like this, you need to do it, effectively and correct. So we have engaged Presidio, who's a vendor that we procured through an RFP 2 years ago. We've done a lot of work. They do all our internal work for us, and I'm talking about the networking side of the house. it is just the best route, and it was actually also suggested by Amazon themselves that we work through a reseller that has experience with the system. So we've been working with them this week, getting it set up. The system actually was handed over to us today for testing, and we are, right now busy doing some testing, but we would not have been able to do it that quickly if we had to stand it up ourselves. Once it's stood up, we do have controls over many things that we can do internally in the system, like, managing the system to add agents, change messages, do all the things that's needed to run this environment.
Thank you. And I also see here that if we had the contract approved the 19th, I mean, today's the 21st, will they still be on schedule to have it set up by the 26th, or is it going to be the following Tuesday?
We are currently on schedule to get it set up. Like I said, we've worked diligently this week to get everything done. There are still some logistic things we have to work out. But this is going to go on for the next few days and over the weekend as well. So
thank you so much, and thank you,
you're
Chair.
welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Song. Any other questions? Seeing none, please vote.
That motion passes 12-1 with Commissioner Nard abstaining.
Commissioner Nard, could you state your reason for your abstention, please? Commissioner Nard? We need to have you state your reason for your abstention. You might have some technical difficulty.
We can work with Commissioner Nard offline, Chair Brown, to figure out if that's a technical difficulty and correct that.
All right.
Here, I thought I had read something that said she had left the meeting, so there must be some technical difficulty.
Okay. All right. Roger that. We'll check that out. Thank you. Thank you, Jaco, for your answering the question. And your whole team has been pressed hard in this COVID environment. And we appreciate the work you and your staff are doing to try to resolve the issues that we're facing, because it is a crisis and there's a lot of demand, and your team is doing a good job of managing that as best you can. So look forward to working with you and talking to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. Item 10, committee structured meeting schedule. Item 10A, 2021-22 committee structure. I need a motion to approve.
Commissioner Song, motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Song.
Support Romano.
Support by Romano. Any discussion? Please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. 10B, 2021 committee meeting schedule. Need a motion to approve that.
Motion by Haw.
Zinner, second.
Support by Romano.
Support by Zinner, the second that motion. Any discussion on this item? Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Yes, just very quickly, I think with the changeover, usually we turn in the days that we'll be on vacation or something, and I don't think that really happened this year. Every year since I've been on, except for last year because of COVID, I have spent the first 10 days of July in Montana. We have a lot of meetings scheduled during that period. I'm probably going to miss most of them because we are up in the mountains where there isn't any internet access unless I can make accommodations. So not blaming anybody. That's just unfortunate. Thank you.
Well, we can look at that and see if we can accommodate that. The schedules can be changed, and we'll look to accommodate that. Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to make note to the new commissioners in regards to just, you'll see some more scheduled meetings that'll be happening for the budget process later in this year. Typically that's October, November, and into December. So I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. Commissioner Kleinfeld was chair of finance last 2 terms, and I believe there was workshops and other items that were scheduled. So we're working towards getting stuff done. We just haven't had that finalized yet. So I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. So if you're going to have conflicting situations in those months, just be aware and talk to the staff. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item 11 is new business. Is there any new business to come before the committee?
I do, Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. Just very quickly, first of all, I have a homework assignment that Courtney's given me and I haven't fulfilled it. So this is an official apology to Courtney for that. Early in February, I will be going to the virtual presidents and executives meeting. Usually we go to Washington, D.C. Last year, I did extensive 2-day training at Mount Vernon, the Washington Leadership Institute. I have no idea what's coming for this one, but for those of you, it's for all of the presidents and executives of the state associations across the country. Go to that. The legislative conference, mark your calendars because it's virtual. It will be easy to attend. Will be April 28th through 30th. Don't know who our key speakers are yet. And we're hoping to have the annual in the summer in person, and I believe it's scheduled for Mackinac, but you know, it's up in the air. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other commissioner of any new business? A note of personal note, Commissioner Kleinfeld, earlier you made some comments about the oversight, and I apologize to you. It wasn't an intentional slight to you in any way. I got confused with those 3 retirement boards as I was making appointments, and didn't know that there were 2 commissioners on one of those committees, so I didn't even think that you were even on that committee. It was my bad, totally my mistake. But please know I respect you and have the greatest respect for you, work with you on the board as I have for these many years. And there was no intent to slight you in any way. It was a grievous error on my part, and I apologize for that. But please know that there was no intentional slight on my part, and certainly have shown you the respect that anyone deserves about notifying them about committee assignments they get or don't get. So I apologize to you and the board. So seeing no other new business, we'll go to public participation. Public participation, you're allowed to speak on any item that's not on the agenda, any item you want for 5 minutes. No, we won't tolerate any vulgarities and disrespectful comments. And so, staff, do we have anybody on the line? Public participation.
Chair, there is no one online, and I don't hear anyone or see anyone that has called in who is wishing to speak.
I'll ask 2 more times for public participation. Is there anyone in the public that wishes to be heard? Third and final time. Anyone from the public that wishes to be heard? Seeing no one, we'll close public participation. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Romano.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zinner. Please vote to adjourn. Okay,
That motion passes 13-0.
Commissioners, thank you for the meeting. This was a long meeting. Normally our full board meetings won't be this long, and many of these items that we're talking about will have been discussed in committee, which will shorten the length of time a full board meeting generally goes. So these items will go to the normal committee chairs and for review and be brought forward to the full board. So, but it was a long meeting. It was a good flavor for the type of topics we'll discuss. And note, but if you have any questions about anything on any of these items, you can always ask the departments themselves directly, and you can go through us here at the board office, and we'll direct you to get the information that you need. So appreciate everybody, and we'll talk to everybody soon. You guys have a good night and be safe. All right. Thank you very much.
Good night.
I think somebody needs some attention.
Darling.
Yeah, add some value to our meeting. Let's see a cute face out there for.
Very much.
Awesome. Great.
Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night. Take care, everyone. Take care. Be careful. Bye-bye.
Hey, Veronica, I got a date on all of those dates that we're missing. They just don't like you. That's why you didn't get any of those dates.
That is not true.
Thanks for rubbing salt in the wound, Harold. Not the case.